$0 of income at this time.
I logged in one day and everything was zeroed out.
Gross income to Mr. Dreyer of $228,620.
So he went into all of my accounts and changed all of the bills over to him.
Right. Good morning. This is the matter of Dreyer versus Dreyer, case number 25070260. Present in the virtual courtroom are both parties as well as their respective attorneys. This is the time and place noticed for the divorce trial in this matter. And Ms. Wolfram, I understand that you have a couple of preliminary motions or some housekeeping that you'd like to do.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. To begin with, as we discussed in Chambers discussion, my client has become unemployed as of Friday. Opposing counsel is aware and she's been provided the termination letter, so I don't think there's a dispute as to that. Because of that, it would make the motion to at least temporarily suspend child support based on his $0 of income at this time. And the second motion would be to reserve the issue of spousal support. Now, I do understand that there may be a development of testimony that could potentially allow the court to make a determination for spousal support, but to the extent that it involves my client's ability to pay spousal support, we simply do not have the facts available right now that would likely result in an equitable result to both parties, right? In other words, it's certainly likely, or we expect, that my client will be able to become employed again, but he is not currently unemployed, he is currently unemployed, and we don't know how long that will take, and at what level he will become employed. So to that extent, we would ask that the court reserve on spousal support as relates to the whole package if the testimony does not support a final award today.
Schultz.
We would just ask that the court would take testimony, would deny the request to reserve those. Child support and spousal support. Ms. Dreyer intends to testify. I believe there's evidence to support the fact that Mr. Dreyer has willingly and willfully, essentially, vacated his employment for no good reason. And so Ms. Dreyer intends to request and would ask that the court consider imputation of income for both spousal support and child support purposes and enter orders effective immediately.
Great, thank you. The court will deny the motions at this time. Those are both, I believe, open issues under the law, given the request for potential imputation of potential income. And then, was there anything else preliminarily from either or Mr. Schultz? Ms. Schultz?
The only thing, I don't know if we want to make some record that for the most part, we've stipulated to a majority of the exhibits. So there's a few reservations, but for the majority of the exhibits as they relate to the party's finances, we stipulated to those.
I think that's important to put on the record just so we do have a clean record. So if you want to go ahead, Ms. Wolfram, and indicate what you're agreeing to.
Sure. So as I guess I'll go off of, just for order purposes, I'm looking at the plaintiff's amended exhibit list. So the mortgage balance of June, as of June of 2026, the HELOC statements from LMCU for both the joint bank accounts and as relates to any transfers, the credit card statements, the tax returns, there will be some demonstrative exhibits, which are listed as 10 and 11 for finances for repayment, and the property balance sheet, which I think are 10 and 12. Again, those two are created, so they're demonstrative. So to the extent that they purport to show what they show, we stipulate the messages, anything from our family wizard, text messages between the parties, and the worksheets are as far as the plaintiff's calculations and defendant's calculations. We'll be stipulating to those as well. Anything else, I would reserve the right to object after a foundation. And again, I reserve the right to argue that that the court should come to a different conclusion than maybe demonstrated. But as to the exhibits purporting to show what they show, we stipulate.
All right, Ms. Schultz.
As far as defendant's exhibits go, I don't have labeled versions, but as far as any messages between the parties, I'm happy to stipulate to those. But aside from that, I would just reserve the ability to make a record when Ms. Wolfram introduces them, just because of some various statements that are made handwritten by the defendant onto those. But overall, I don't think there's any major issues, but no stipulations as to anything at this point on those exhibits.
All right, and I also understand that there are some facts that the parties are willing to stipulate to, some basic facts.
Yeah. Where did my proposed stipulations go? Yeah, so it looks like the appraised value of the marital home was 544,000. The mortgage balance at the relevant time was 220,877.35. The home is marital property subject to division. That mortgage payment and home utility payments have been made by Mr. Dryer. That Mr. Dryer has paid child support monthly since February 1st in the amount of 2039. Oh, actually, that was January.
January 1st.
Would you disagree with that, Emily? I did put in February, but he paid in January as well.
I would need Ms. Dryer, did you receive child support from Mr. Dryer in January this year as well?
Off the top of my head, I don't believe so, but I would have to double check.
My recollection was February through July.
Okay, so we'll stipulate from February to July, and then we can take testimony on to January then. That the retirement total balance was $158,265.81, and that there may be a premarital balance. We don't know. And then the balance on the Chase credit card was $21,942.10 in August of 2025. And that currently it's 39, well, currently as of last month, I think, right, is 39,210.25. That at least Mr. Dryer's last transaction on the card was August of 2025, and he was after that not an authorized user. And then I think we didn't actually talk about this out loud. I'm sorry about that, but that all the payments on the vehicles have also been made by Mr. Dryer. That was not my proposal. I don't know if you had an objection to that.
So I believe the payments were made on Ms. Dryer's vehicle. I believe there is a series of exhibits for reimbursement requests that Mr. Dryer's truck payment had come out of what was paid to Ms. Dryer for child support at some point. And so I can't really stipulate that he paid those necessarily, but her vehicle payments, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's what I said. So his pay, like he has paid all of the payments due on her vehicle since August of 2025. Yep.
Yes.
Okay, Ms. Schultz?
Yeah, that all sounds accurate as far as stipulations. I would ask to stipulate to the vehicle values. I don't know that we discussed that, but do you have any issue with those?
No, probably no, that's fine.
Okay. And then the only other thing would
And if you could
be,
give me the values that you're stipulating to?
yeah, so that would be the Kia Carnival would be $33,313 and the Dodge Ram at $30,000. And the Carnival has a balance due of $17,432.39. And the Ram is $15,133.67 due.
Ms. Wolf?
Yep, I would agree.
Okay.
And then the only other thing is the stocks. I believe we were just discussing to reserve those until we have proof. Reserve essentially division of those. I think there's no dispute as to equal division if Mr. Dryer can in fact cash in on whatever was vested of those stocks, given that he's no longer employed with Vector.
Ms. Wolfram?
I think that's fine. Again, I think we just got that information, so coming to understanding about it, reserving it is fine. I would agree to Ms. Schultz's statement.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Schultz?
I don't believe so. Oh, actually, one other thing. There was the exhibit 27 and 28, those two debts. Is there any dispute that those are the value that they are, which are the two medical bills?
Let me look at those again. Do you have those bills? I actually don't. I'm sorry, that kind of fell off my radar.
That's okay.
That
So
was the
what
first one we talked
the
about.
U of M Health West outstanding is $1,741.25. And then Vanderland Dental is $458 balance. And those were both incurred during the marriage. I understand Mr. Dryer can, make any argument he wants as to whether or not, where they should be allocated, but they're essentially marital. They were medical bills incurred during the marriage.
Did you send me over those actual bills?
They were in the updated folder sent yesterday. It was exhibit 27 and 28.
Okay, I'll pull those up. I'm gonna preliminarily say, like, I don't dispute that the statements are what they are. As far as the balances, I think my client has an opinion about whether whether the court should, what the court should do with those. But the balances and the statements, I don't think she made them up, so.
Okay. Anything else?
That is all.
That's all as far as the stipulations. The one other thing I thought to mention, Your Honor, is that we did, again, in chambers discuss sort of the structure of the testimony and whatnot, that we would be kind of compartmentalizing, if you will, as far as the categories and allowing sort of a direct and then cross on each category before moving on. Just for
Ms. Schultz?
Yes, I would agree with that, is to start with
Okay.
property, have Ms. Dreyer testify regarding all those issues, then have Mr. Dreyer do his case in chief on those issues and reconvene on custody and matters after that's handled.
Okay. All right, thank you. And any other preliminary issues that we should address before we get started with testimony?
Not from my perspective.
I think that's it.
Okay. All right. And my understanding also is that that council has agreed to waive opening statements in this case.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. Ms. Schultz?
Thank you. I would like to call Carly Dreyer.
Okay. Ms. Dreyer, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Carly Dreyer, Carlydreyer.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
And one other thing I should probably point out to everyone is we are streaming so that we have open court and transparency. So if you could use the children's initials, which given their initials, probably you're going to have to include the middle initial to distinguish between the children just to protect their privacy.
Okay.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Dreyer.
Good morning.
You're currently married to Jacob Dreyer, correct?
Correct.
And I just want to walk through some preliminary things before we get into the meat of property discussion. When you filed the complaint for divorce, had you been a resident of the state of Michigan for at least 180 days?
Yes.
Okay. And were you a resident of Kent County for at least 10 days prior to filing that complaint?
Yeah.
When were you initially married to Mr. Dreyer?
January 28th, 2017.
And when did you and Mr. Dreyer physically separate?
I believe it was August 25th. Well, that was when I got back into the house, but we were physically separated from August 1st, 2025.
Okay. And in the complaint, you had indicated that there had been a breakdown of the marriage relationship such that the odds of matrimony had been destroyed and that there remained no reasonable likelihood that the marriage would be preserved. Does that remain true today?
Yes.
Do you believe there's any chance of reconciliation?
No.
Okay. And you have 3 minor children with Mr. Dreyer, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And can you state their initials and ages of each?
I have D, he's age 6. I have DJD, he's 5. And then I have DAD, he's 2.
And Ms. Dreyer, are you currently pregnant?
No.
Okay, so as stated, we're gonna start with the property division and talk about all of that. I am going to pull up what has been marked as plaintiff's exhibit 12. I will share that. Would the court prefer that I share these exhibits or?
Yeah, because then
Okay.
it will be in the record. The only caution is if there's any social security numbers, account numbers, that sort of thing, then
Right.
just let me know and we can stop streaming just for the portion of time that we're sharing that.
Okay, sounds good. Ms. Dreyer, can you see this?
Yes.
Okay. And can you identify what this is?
Yes.
Okay. And what is this document?
It's our property division document with all of our financials and assets.
Okay. And from what you're seeing right now, does this include all of your assets and debts?
Yes.
Ms. Dreyer, are there a couple, well, we'll get into that later. So you and Mr. Dreyer have, there's no dispute as to the value of the home being $544,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And there's a first mortgage on the home of $220,000, almost $221,000, $228.77 and 35 cents.
Yes.
Okay. And there's also a HELOC on the home.
Yep. Yes.
Okay. Tell me about the balance. Is the balance of the HELOC indicated on this spreadsheet? Is that accurate?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. That's $17,906.21. That leaves $216,000 left of net equity in the home.
Yes.
Okay. What is your proposal as to how that gets divided? Talk to me about your proposal for the marital home.
For the marital home, since last year we started this and now we're a year later, still trying to wrap this up. And my kids are starting school in about 3 weeks, as well as activities. So for stability purposes, I'd like to be in the home for at least 6 months before we sell it together, and split those proceeds together. But I think it's really important for my kids to remain in the home with me for stability, for routine, and to just keep everything as normal as possible through this process.
Okay. When you say split the proceeds of the home when you sell it in 6 months, what split are you requesting of those proceeds?
I would prefer for Jacob to have the HELOC be taken care of out of his share. He drew that money without my knowledge in December 2025 and hasn't replaced it. So I don't want that to have to come out of my share, since I was not consenting to him withdrawing on the HELOC.
Okay. Based on a review of Mr. Dreyer's financial statements, have you been able to see, does the last you knew, was the money he drew from the HELOC still in a bank account of Mr. Dreyer's?
To my knowledge, that's what I've been informed on, because I don't have any visibility onto any of our finances currently.
Okay. And so is that HELOC balance then in fact higher now because he withdrew that? Is this, I guess what I'm getting at, is this 17,906.21, is this the balance that the two of you had agreed to take out of the HELOC during the marriage?
No, we did not agree on drawing that out of the HELOC. We used our HELOC a few years ago to do home renovations and stuff.
Okay.
I did not consent to anything after that being drawn out.
What was the balance of the HELOC that you believe you're responsible for?
I don't have those numbers right in front of myself right now. Would
Okay.
you like me to do that?
No, we'll walk through it in a little bit later. Let's move on to so aside from the HELOC issue, are you wanting to equally divide the proceeds from the home in 6 months when you
Yes.
sell it? And you're going to keep your Kia Carnival. Mr. Dreyer would maintain the Dodge Ram, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you understand we've stipulated to those values.
Correct.
Okay. And that would leave in your column $15,880.61 as equity in the Kia Carnival.
Correct.
Okay. And in Mr. Dreyer's column for his truck, he would have $14,866.33 as the equity for the Dodge Ram.
Correct.
Okay. As for various bank accounts, is your request to equally divide any funds in bank accounts?
Correct.
And then as far as the stocks go, I understand Mr. Dreyer is no longer employed with Vector, and there's a claim that potentially he may not have access to cash out on any stocks, but to the extent that he does, are you requesting the court equally divide any value he receives?
Yes.
Okay. As far as debts, let's talk about the joint credit card. And I'm gonna stop sharing. The joint credit card, what card is that?
That's the Freedom Chase credit card.
Okay. And we've stipulated that the credit card was $21,942. Okay. And what is this document?
A tax return document.
Okay. And that is that for the year 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And for 2023, were you employed?
No.
Just so you know, we do have the names showing. I see that you redacted the numbers, but I just.
Yes. If the court would like to stop the live recording.
Thank you. We're streaming.
Thank you. Ms. Dreyer, excuse me. Walk you through this. Is this including $0 of income for you?
Yes,
And that's based on your current unemployment status?
yes,
Okay. And gross income to Mr. Dryer of $228,620.
yes,
Okay. And that based on what we just walked through as his income?
yes,
Okay. Given that, are you asking the court award you $2,238 a month as indicated by this prognosticator for the next 5 years?
yes,
Okay. Are you also asking that Mr. Dryer pay any sort of retroactive support to you?
yes,
Okay. And are you asking that that be in the same amount moving forward?
yes.
Okay. Ms. Dryer, do you expect to receive any income producing property in this divorce?
Can you clarify what that means?
Absolutely. Is there anything you're being awarded in this divorce that you can expect to produce an ongoing stream of income for you, such as a rental property or anything like that?
No,
Okay. Do you have any other sources of funds in which to live on post-divorce?
no,
Do you believe Mr. Dryer has the ability to pay spousal support?
yes.
Okay. And he's currently unemployed. Can you tell me why you believe he still has the ability to pay?
I understand what he brings in monthly, that he is very well paid or was well paid, and that we should have funds to be able to support that.
Were the two of you ever living paycheck to paycheck during the marriage?
No,
Okay. Did you always have a surplus of financial resources in bank accounts during the marriage?
we always had an emergency fund.
Okay. During the marriage, what did that emergency fund look like?
It fluctuated between $5,000 at one point all the way up to $30,000 at one point.
Okay. To your knowledge, does Mr. Dryer have any other resources in which to pay for life expenses?
Yes,
Okay, and what are those?
he has his work, he has his family, and I believe that there might have been an inheritance that he could have incurred from his grandparents.
Okay, talk to me a little bit more about that. Did his grandparents pass away? When?
His grandmother passed away 1 year ago, and his grandfather passed away this past spring, early summer.
Okay. And had Mr. Dryer indicated to you previously whether he would be receiving any sort of inheritance from them?
Not necessarily inheritance, but I do know that his grandparents were very well off.
Do you believe that anyone has been contributing to Mr. Dryer to aid in his finances?
Yes, I think that his parents, specifically his mom, might be helping out. I did receive a piece of mail that had his name with his mother's name on it, and it was with a PNC bank account, which I have no knowledge of us having a PNC bank account. So I'm not sure what that is, but I'm wondering if there's some kind of financial help with a bank account on their side.
Okay. And to clarify, did you ever have a PNC bank account jointly held with Mr. Dryer?
No,
Has Mr. Dryer disclosed a PNC bank account during this divorce?
no,
Okay. Do you believe Mr. Dryer's been fully forthcoming regarding his access to funds throughout the divorce?
no.
Are you asking Mr. Dryer to contribute to your attorney fees in this matter?
Yes,
Okay. And how much are you requesting?
$10,000.
Okay. How have you been paying for attorney fees so far?
My mother.
Okay. Do you know whether you owe any fees to my office to date?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how much you owe currently?
Yes, I owe $1,462.50.
Okay. And have you received a invoice following work done in July yet?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. So do you believe you're going to have an even bigger balance following July and then through this trial?
Yes,
Okay. Are there any other reimbursements you're requesting from Mr. Dryer?
no,
Okay. Were there any, when you guys talk to me a little bit about how, when the two of you separated physically and bank accounts became separated, you were cut off from finances, were there any funds that were removed from your account or the joint account? Who was using the joint account when you guys separated?
So before we separated, we had one bank account. That's it. And everything was in it. We had our checking, our savings, and our three kids' bank accounts. And then when we separated, I logged in one day and everything was zeroed out. And he opened up another LMCU account and just made a lateral move with all of those finances.
Okay. And once that was done, did he also were all the bills transferred over to his account that he was then paying for as well?
Yes, all the bills were under my name, my username, my passwords, but he knew my password, so he went into all of my accounts and changed all of the bills over to him.
Okay. What about car payments? Did Mr. Dryer pay you stipulated that he paid for your vehicle payment. Was he paying for his vehicle payments since you guys separated?
Yes, but his vehicle payments were connected to our bank account. So therefore, every month it would get drawn out of the bank account that I only had access to.
Okay. Explain that a little bit more. So what funds were essentially living in that account where that was being withdrawn? Was that money that you were bringing in? Was it his
That was
money, his income?
child support money that was
Okay.
inputted in each month.
Okay. So the child support money was going in there of what? How much?
$2,000 a month.
Okay. And then from there is how you were paying expenses for you and the children. Okay. And were there other expenses then that were coming out of there that you were expecting Mr. Dryer to be responsible for?
Yes, we had a streaming service, Hulu, that comes out of there. We have our deed bill that still comes out of there, and his car payment was coming out of there.
Okay. I'm gonna pull up Exhibit 10. You can see that.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. And I'm gonna scroll through quickly, but can you identify what this exhibit is?
Yes, those are all bills that come out of the joint account that I have access to that only has my child support funds in.
Okay. And for the record, this is account LMCU 3091.
Yes,
Does this appear to be accurate? I understand there's essentially screenshots of transactions. Is that accurate?
yes,
Okay. And do those appear to be altered in any way?
no.
Okay. I don't believe we had stipulated to this exhibit, but to the extent that we haven't, I would move to admit this one.
Again, I'm stipulating that the amounts, the question I think is my reservation on it is not that I'm stipulating that the amounts are accurately portrayed by the exhibit. It's the whether or not they should be reimbursed is my reservation. So
Okay. So then you are stipulating to the admission of the exhibit. Okay.
exactly. Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Dryer, on June 18th of this year, it looks like a $444.29 charge comes out from Verizon Wireless. What is that charge for?
That was my phone bill that wasn't paid, and my service actually got shut off because it wasn't paid, and I had to pay it out of my child support money.
Okay. Is that only your phone that's on that plan?
Yes, I believe that was 2 months worth of no service.
Okay. Prior to this, had Mr. Dryer been paying that phone bill?
Yes,
When did he stop?
I think it was maybe April or May. So in the spring of 2025.
Okay. 2025 or 2026?
2026, excuse me.
Okay. And then this $35 charge from Corewell Health on June 14th of 2026, what is that charge?
That's a copay at a doctor's office visit.
Okay. And would that have been for you or the children?
Either.
Okay.
I can't recall.
Okay. $60.29 came out of that account to DTE Energy. What is that for?
That's our gas bill.
Okay. Had Mr. Dryer historically paid that bill?
Yes.
Okay. And prior to it starting to come out of your account, when did he stop paying that?
It still comes out of this account.
$1,000 a month that he's been paying you for child support?
Yes.
Okay. In May of 2026, there's a charge of $74.58 to DTE Energy. Is that the same as the bill we just discussed?
Yes.
Okay. And is that for the marital home?
Yes.
Okay. Where you and the kids are living? April 10th, 2026, there was a DTE bill of $115.47 that came out.
Yep. Yes.
403, is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And February 23rd of 2026, $381.77 to Verizon Wireless. Is that for your phone bill?
Yes.
February 11th, 2026, DTE comes out of 125.84.
Yes.
And January of 2026, a phone bill for 247.19. Is that for your phone as well?
Yes.
And then on January 14th, 2026, there's a $935 charge to Advia Credit Union. What is that for?
That's Jacob's truck payment.
Okay. And so in essence, he paid you $2,000 a month, but for January alone, he sends you $2,000 a month, and then immediately 935 of that is taken out to pay for his truck.
Yes.
Okay. Are you requesting that Mr. Dryer reimburse you for these amounts in here?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you believe that that's equitable?
Because I haven't had a lot of funds for my kids and I need to recoup everything I can.
Did you ask Mr. Dryer to pay for these expenses or ever indicate to him that they were coming out of the account you were using?
Yes.
Okay, and what was his response?
He did end up figuring out the car payment, but the other ones he told me were specifically the phone bill. He said is my responsibility.
Okay. And again, had you ever paid for your phone bill in the past?
No.
Okay. And did you have income to pay for your phone bill? Is there anything else you feel is beneficial for the court to understand why you're making the requests that you are and why they're equitable?
I feel that everything I'm requesting is just what I'm owed. I don't think I'm splitting hairs at this point. I've been living off of a very small amount of money for a year now with 3 kids, and I think it's time that we figure this all out so that they can be properly taken care of as well.
Ms. Dryer, are you asking the court to grant you a change of your last name?
No.
Okay. Okay, I believe that's all I have for Ms. Dryer as far as property and spousal support goes.
Thank you. Ms. Wolfram.
Actually, I'm gonna start just a little bit at the end here, just to, and then I don't know if I'll work my way back, but starting with Exhibit 10, that was the LCU account number 3091. That was specifically withdrawals from that account. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
That exhibit does not show deposits to that account, right?
No.
All right, but there were deposits, correct?
Yes.
All right. So for example, when you're asking for those reimbursements, they're not, we haven't seen the full account statement. We're only looking at that exhibit to show those the withdrawals. You'd have to show us a different exhibit to show that there's not a corresponding deposit, right?
Correct.
And then when we get to Jacob's testimony, if there are deposits into that account, that would balance that out, right? In other words, you don't get to be reimbursed twice.
Correct.
Okay. And so, for example, in January of 2026, you say that that truck payment came out. First of all, are you now agreeing that there's a child support payment made for January of 2026?
No, I haven't been able to look back on that specifically.
All right, so you still don't recall?
No.
Okay. But as to that truck payment, you don't recall being reimbursed that amount, that $914, that you don't recall that he reimbursed that amount?
No, I don't recall.
Okay. Maybe I will kind of work backwards. It kind of makes sense. We'll see. As to the attorney's fees, you're requesting $10,000. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. But you've already testified that in August, a good amount of money went towards attorney's fees. How many of the charges to attorney's fees were for attorneys retained on your behalf?
$3,500 for this divorce.
All right. And was there also an attorney's fee charge for another attorney that was on your behalf?
Yes.
All right. And what was that for?
$4,000.
All right. And that was for the criminal charges?
Yeah.
All right. So in other words, there's already been almost $10,000 of attorney's fees paid on your behalf out of the joint funds. Is that right?
Well, 7,500, but yes.
Okay. All right. And you elected to change counsel in between, right? So in other words, you chose different counsel in the middle of the case?
Yes.
All right. All right. There was an issue stated your testimony with regards to retroactive support. I don't believe I was clear on what date you believe retroactive support applies.
From August 2025 till now, August 2026.
Okay. All right. So from August of 2025 through December of 2026, what was the status of your relationship with Mr. Dryer?
We were in couples counseling together.
All right. Did you consider reunifying with him during that period?
Yes, the state of Michigan, when you have minor children, gives you 6 months of a waiting period to try to see if you can recoup the marriage. During that time, I did my due diligence with that and attended couples therapy with him, and things did not work out.
Okay. And you would say, so through December, did you spend some time together as a family in December of 2025?
In December, we spent Christmas together, yes.
All right. And you invited him back to the marital home for that time period?
I invited him in on Christmas Day, yes.
Okay. And then after January, is that a time when you would say that you did no longer consider reunification?
Correct.
So are you familiar with the Monarch program?
Yes.
What is it?
Financial advisor program.
All right. And what does it do, or what did you and Jacob use it for?
I did not use it. I only had a scope into it. He presented it to me almost a year ago to show me how he was going to try to manage our finances. And that's the extent of my knowledge to it.
All right. So did you have an ability to log in and to see the platform?
Yes.
And what's your understanding of how that platform, like what information did you understand was provided to you through that platform?
I had a scope into all of our finances, all of
Right.
our accounts, our car payments, our house payment. Yeah.
Do you think that did you believe that in the Monarch program, there was things missing as far as accounts not being listed or accounted for?
Yes.
And what were those? Did you discover what was missing?
I'm still curious about a PNC account that's under Jacob's name.
All right. Other than the PNC account, which I guess I'll have to address with Jacobs, that's the first I've heard of it. So other than the PNC account, have you discovered, you say that you have some distrust as to the forthcoming nature of the discovery, but other than the alleged PNC account, did you come to discover any accounts that were not disclosed, missing accounts, explanations for where there was missing holes in your finances?
No, just this PNC account.
Okay. And so in the Monarch account, it seemed to account for all of the other things that you understood to be your family finances. Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. And so it showed your mortgage statement, it showed your utilities, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Showed like a money flow situation where money was coming in, where money was coming out.
Potentially. I was just looking at our budgeting tool.
Okay. And it is a budgeting tool, right? It shows kind of the health of the family finances, what income you have versus your expenses. It does show you that.
Yes.
All right. To your knowledge, do you still have access to that?
I do not.
All right. When did your access to that end?
I think it was in March, but I was cut off from access to that.
All right. How did you find out, or how do you think that you found out that you were cut off from access to that?
I tried logging in and it said that I don't have access to it anymore.
Okay, fair enough. And is that something that you used both before the separation and afterwards?
Not before, no.
Okay, because you handled the finances prior to that?
Yes.
All right. But your testimony is that that the bills were in your name, but Jacob achieved them being transferred into his name. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. So a little bit about those bills specifically. So through this time period, August of 2025 through current, who's paid the mortgage?
Jacob,
And how much is your mortgage payment?
roughly $1,900 a month.
Right. And who's living in the home?
I am and my 3 children.
All right. Just to clarify, you don't consider having that mortgage payment made as contributing to your support at all?
No.
Okay. And utility payments. Who has paid the utility payments from August until current?
Jacob,
All right. And you don't consider paying the utility payments any manner of support?
no.
Okay. And to be clear, when's the last time that Mr. Dryer resided in the home?
Resided as in living?
Yep.
August 2025.
All right. So he has separate expenses that he needs to pay for his own residence. Is that right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we covered utilities, other payments, things due for the house other than like streaming services? So car payments, for instance, who's paid the car payments?
Jacob,
Okay. And you don't consider those to be support of the family at all?
not spousal support, no.
All right. So just, I guess, to be clear, what do you, I guess, what is your concept of what spousal support ought to have supported you in?
I believe it's to get me back into the workforce since I haven't earned any kind of income. In order to buy a house, I have to have some kind of income to prove that I can afford a house. So that would count towards that. And it helps me with my children as well because it's very expensive to raise kids.
Okay, so let's talk about your efforts as regards to that. Did you you have a bachelor's degree, correct? I'm sorry, you have to say yes or no.
Yes,
You're also licensed as a teacher?
yes,
All right. And as a realtor?
no longer.
All right. So what kinds of reasons or anything are you required to do for your employment to restart employment?
I currently have a interview within Byron Center Public Schools to work in the high school, the main office
Oh,
administrator.
sorry. I appreciate that. My question specifically though is, do you need any recertification for any of the training? So you're both licensed as a teacher and for realtor.
I was just going to finish. So no, I don't need to be recertified to be a teacher.
Okay, so you could be, and it sounds like now I'm sorry, now I didn't mean to cut you off. I just want to be clear for the record. Now you do have the ability to be, it sounds like you're being interviewed. You can finish your answer.
Yes.
All right. And in fact, your public facing, like your LinkedIn shows that you are currently employed as a realtor. Is that fair to say?
I don't use LinkedIn. I haven't used LinkedIn since, I don't even know what that says, 2017.
All right. So but you could be employed as a realtor. You don't need additional certification or
No,
recertification.
I would need reason to teach as well for both of those.
All right. And okay, but you just said that you didn't. So that's exactly what I'm trying to clarify. Do you
I'm
need
I'm no longer certified and I'm not looking to be recertified for those
Okay.
positions.
Let me just say, don't talk over each other because it makes it hard for me to understand, but also this potentially it needs to be transcribed, and that's going to be very difficult for the transcriptionist. So maybe back up and clarify that testimony. Thank you.
Yeah, so I just want to start over and I'm just like I said, trying to lay this out. If you were to achieve the same, let's go one by one as to your teaching credentials. Are you able to be hired as a teacher right now, or are you in need of some kind of recertification or endorsement to be hired as a teacher right now?
No, I cannot be hired as a teacher right now. I would have to go back for recertification.
And what would the recertification entail?
At least 2 years of schooling, professional development, and whatever the requirements might be now. And fitting that in with a schedule with 3 kids would be very difficult.
Okay. And then I guess just because you mentioned it and we're on the teaching topic, what is the interview with regards to the position with the school that you mentioned? What is that for?
It's for the main office admin position.
Okay. And if you were to achieve that position, would that assist with your certification prospects?
No,
And then for the realtor license, is that something you would require recertification for?
yes.
And what would those requirements be?
I'm not sure. I haven't looked into that.
All right, so fair to say you're not looking to pursue that line for your career, is that accurate? Okay. And nothing physically prevents you from working? You have any chronic health conditions or anything like that?
No,
All right, and you have daycare options, is that fair to say?
yes,
Okay. And also, Mr. Dreyer has regular parenting time. In other words, there's days that you are not responsible for your children under the current parenting time arrangement?
correct.
All right. Since August of 2025, have you had any employment offers?
No,
How many applications did you submit since August of 2025?
I think I've submitted maybe 10.
So in the span from August of 2025 to current, you've applied for 10 positions?
Yes,
And what kind of positions were those?
various part-time positions, just things that might fit my schedule.
All right. So you have not applied for any full-time positions, only part-time, is that correct?
Full-time, no.
Okay. All right. Back to a couple, I guess I am kind of going backwards, but I think it has made some sense. Exhibits 27 and 28 were for essentially out-of-pocket medical expenses. Is that correct?
Yes,
But those were out-of-pocket medical expenses for yourself. Is that true?
Yes, is that the,
It would be the U of M West bill and the dentist bill.
yes,
Okay. And were those balances, when were those balances accrued?
over the course of the last year. I can't recall exactly the date.
Okay. And isn't it true that there were payments made to U of M West out of the joint account over that same course of time?
Yes, that was a copay.
Okay. And that same for the dentist bill. Now, as to the last dentist bill, was that also, I guess, when did the dentist bill, which is the Exhibit 28, when did that actually become due?
I believe that one was from December and also includes my bite guard, which is why it was a higher bill.
All right. And were those elective procedures? Was that an elective device?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the joint account with regards to the expenses. You testified that you were asked to put expenses on the card. Was that a specific conversation, or is your testimony that Mr. Dryer asked you to purchase items and he would just have known you were using the credit card?
When he introduced me to the Monarch financial program, I told him that I did not have any access to our finances and that my only means was the credit card. And he agreed that that was the only way for me to use money moving forward.
All right. And so you would use money based on that card, but who was making the payment on that credit card?
Jacob.
All right. And you still don't consider that a form of support?
No.
Okay. So you were able to make purchases on it and he paid the balance, but that is not supporting you?
I believe that I was making normal household payments that have been normal household payments for the last 7 years since I've been a stay-at-home mom, and that nothing has really changed.
All right. But a little bit to tie it together, you had no expenses for living expenses. Is that fair to say? So in other words, no mortgage payment, correct?
Correct.
No utility payments, correct?
Correct.
No car payments?
Correct.
Any other payments that you were responsible for after Jacob transferred everything into his name?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So were there any, and I want to be fair to your testimony, were there any obligations after the period that Jacob transferred things into his name that you were required to pay to sustain your normal, ordinary living expenses?
Well, my phone was one of them, and that was coming out of my payment.
Was as of April, May, is that correct?
I think it started in January.
Okay, fair enough.
Can't recall. Yeah.
So just the phone bill after January, anything else?
Just the bills that were shown that were coming out of my account. Other than that, no.
Okay, and we'll get to that with Jacob, but you would leave open the possibility that if he's able to demonstrate there were reimbursements, that's not shown on your exhibit, correct?
Correct.
All right. Okay. And then with regards to the payments on the HELOC, you stated that you did not, first of all, I think, again, I want to be fair to your testimony. When you said you had no knowledge of what that was being spent on, that's reflected in the Monarch account. So that wouldn't be entirely accurate, right?
I didn't have access to the Monarch account and seeing that HELOC.
Okay, so now your testimony is the Monarch account does not include the HELOC?
I never saw the HELOC on that account. No.
Okay. Did you ever have, and so you don't have any access to any account that would have shown what withdrawals or whatever the running balance is for the HELOC? Is that right, your testimony?
That was only on the LMCU. That's how I saw it.
I'm sorry, could you just clarify what that means?
I only saw the HELOC be drawn out of the LMCU. I did not see it shown on the Monarch app.
Okay. So you did see some withdrawals from the HELOC through the LMCU. Is that what your testimony is?
Yes, I saw it in December of 2025 or January 2026.
And you say that you don't have, there was not a discussion. In other words, you didn't agree with any expenses being made out of that account.
Correct.
Okay. Did you bring that to Jacob's attention?
Yes,
And what was that discussion?
that it was in a different account and not to worry about it.
He said that the money from the HELOC was in a different account and you didn't need to worry about it.
Yes, that it was moved into a different account untouched.
Okay. And to the extent, did you ever have any belief or did Jacob ever lead you to believe that the HELOC money was used towards sustaining your monthly obligations, your joint finances, as far as your obligations?
No, I mean, the last time I had access to the Monarch account, there was $30,000+ in our account. So I can't imagine why he would have to use that 18,000 for any other additional expenses.
Okay, and then I did want to circle back one brief time. With regards to the spousal support that you're claiming that you're owed and the recertification aspect, have you presented any requests for some rehabilitative, in other words, like some program or anything like that that you could have begun if Jacob had only given you the funds for it?
Yeah.
When did you do that?
Well, I haven't done it because I don't have the funds, but I have a program that I'm looking to get into to do a career switch, but I need funds in order to do that. So that's why I'm looking for part-time in the meantime.
Okay, but did you, in the course, like this has been for around a year at this point, right? At what point did you provide information either directly to Jacob or through counsel that you required funds to begin a recertification program of any kind?
I've never been questioned to provide information for that.
Sure, so you didn't volunteer it, is that fair to say?
No, I did not volunteer that information.
Okay, and do you have, as we speak, do we have the information on what you would be required to get recertified in whatever your chosen career path is?
You want me to speak about it right now, you're saying?
I am.
I'm looking to get certified in permanent makeup. So that's a schooling program that takes about a week. It's ranges from $3,000 to $5,000 depending on the program. And after that, you can get right to work. And I'm looking to start working at a salon and then I would go on my own.
Okay, and when did you become interested in that program, or when did that information become available to you?
I'd say probably around the new year in 2026.
All right, so around January of 2026, you became aware of a program that would have allowed you, after 1 week of training, to become employed.
Yes.
All right, and what do you think what do you estimate your earning capacity to be after you get this training?
I'm not sure.
A range?
I'm sorry.
Do you have a range?
No idea.
Okay, but that would be your chosen course, and you would agree that you didn't provide that information since January till now. This is the first time you've brought that information to anybody.
Yeah, I've been working on things and I like to keep things private to myself before I feel like I can share what's going on.
Okay. When you said that you have been receiving support from your mother, has that been in the form of regular payments?
No.
So I guess, what is the nature of that arrangement that you receive money from your mother and assistance from her for?
I guess it can be considered regular payment in the sense of my attorney's bills when those are sent. She has to take care of those. But other than that, if I need funds, I give her a call and she has to help me out. Feeding 3 boys with $2,000 a month is very expensive. Maintaining a home and making sure that it's run properly on $2,000 a month is also very expensive. I have 2 animals at home as well that haven't seen the vet in over a year because they have been put on the back burner because that is expensive. So I've had to have my mom step in for a lot of opportunities.
All right. And I just want to clarify, when you say you're receiving at least since February, and we'll cover that, but at least since February, receiving over $2,000 in child support, is that right?
Yes.
And you have had living expenses that have been attributed to you. Jacob's been paying 100% of the expenses, and you've been receiving $2,039 in child support, correct?
Yes.
All right, so above the $2,000 and not counting the expenses, what other expenses have you been needing to borrow to cover?
As I just stated, household expenses. If anything needs fixed in my house, I have to take that out of there.
All right, and let's just say from February, what has been fixed? Well, like, what have you needed to fix as far as your household in February?
We had a fence issue where it had to be repaired from a couple years ago that it never got fixed and my dog was getting out. So I had to fix that. That had to come out of my money.
That was in February?
That was this past spring.
What months, or roughly?
It got finally fixed a month ago,
So in June, July?
June.
And what was that? It was a fence repair?
Yes,
And how much did it cost?
$500.
All right. So aside from the fence repair in June, and I was kind of going month by month if you can, but if not, I guess we'll deal with it. So what other expenses have you had to pay with the category that so food, you spend more than $2,000 a month in food. So $2,000 does not cover food.
I'm sorry. I'm not saying I spend more. I'm just saying that's an expense. Getting my boys haircuts, that's an expense. Getting them clothes, that's an expense. Getting them signed up for activities. We've done a basketball camp. We've done a golf camp. I signed my son up for soccer, a soccer club this year. That all comes out of my pocket. His jerseys that cost money come out of my pocket. Anytime I go to a doctor's office and have to pay a copay, that comes out of my pocket. Anytime I have to feed them outside of my house, that comes out of my pocket. All these expenses. I mean, 3 kids are very expensive, and living in a home is very expensive. So there are a lot of other expenses that go on top of it that I've had to take care of that don't go under the realm of child support.
Okay, and I would agree that you're not required to give us an accounting of what you spend your child support on, but I'm trying to understand what is beyond $2,000 that you receive when you also have $0 of expenses for your living.
So food alone, I spend over $200 at least on food alone every single week to feed my 3 kids, my 2 animals, and myself.
So you would agree that's about
That's at least, and that's just food. That's not including household products. So things to keep my household going. So let's say 300 just to be safe. That's over $1,000 right there in food alone. That doesn't have anything to do with the clothes on their back, any activities we do, me taking them anywhere over the summer, me doing anything with them. Now I have to reserve that rest of $700 for the month for honestly emergency purposes. Or, hey, we're invited to go do this. Well, I can't afford it right now, so we're going to have to take a back seat on that. There's a lot of other expenses that come up to take care of kids that are not just your utility bills.
okay. So based on what your statement is just now, that you, even if we give you $1,000 towards those ordinary living expenses, you've been receiving an additional $1,000, and you're saying that that does not cover the normal ordinary expenses you incur to raise the children over the course of the month.
Correct.
Okay. Further questions? You're muted, Judge.
Schultz.
Thank you. Ms. Dreyer, I just have a few questions for you. We didn't discuss this during direct, but Ms. Wolf, I think it was mentioned briefly. You have a couple animals. Can you confirm what animals you have?
I have a cat and a dog.
Okay. And I don't know whether you and Mr. Dreyer agree on this, but is it your request to keep those animals?
Yes.
Okay. And then how is Mr. Dreyer cutting you off of financial support, at least for a period of time, affected you?
It's heavily affected me with my children because I have noticed that he is able to provide for my kids in ways right now and in the past year that I have not been able to, because he has the financial ability to take them places, buy them things, do things with them. I'm not able to do that. I've been having to really hunker down on everything I do with my kids, tell them no with things, go to my mom for things. It's extremely embarrassing as a grown adult woman to go to people for help. And he's continued to hold it above my head that I need to get a job in order to get money, and that I haven't even received child support for the month of August. And that reflects what my kids are getting. So if he doesn't want to pay me, that means that my kids aren't getting paid and they're in my care right now. I would hope that he would be worried about me not having money in my account while our 3 children are in my care. If something were to happen and I need money, what happens?
And on that note, have you asked Mr. Dreyer for various funds throughout this case?
Multiple times, yes.
Has he ever willingly said, here's some money?
No.
Okay. And let's talk a little bit about the expenses for the kids. I know you walked through a significant amount of expenses you have, excuse me, for the children. What kind of activities are the kids involved in?
I signed up my oldest son for a soccer program this year. It's a soccer club. He took a big interest in soccer with the World Cup and everything. So I was able to get him into a soccer club, which is a little bit more expensive than a normal soccer like ASO around here, where it's just for a month or so. This is a year-round club. I got him into it. So that is more money than a normal 3-month activity. And then I had to pay for jerseys as well on top of that. And I'm not going to tell my son, no, we're not going to do the soccer that you want to do. I'm going to figure it out, sign him up for it, pay for it, and then figure out how to, get money in the future. I've had to sell a lot of my clothes. I've had to sell some purses to get through and to recoup some money.
Okay. When the kids, I mean, have they been in school? I guess because they've been in school for at least a period of time through while this divorce is pending, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And when they go to school, at least the two oldest, are they eating lunch at school?
Just my oldest was. Now
Okay.
my second was not at lunch, at school to lunch.
Okay. Were you paying the school for those lunches as well?
Fortunately, we had the free program for food this year, so I did not have to pay for that.
Okay. And then, I mean, the three boys, how often are you buying them clothes?
Not as often as I would like right now because of finances being tight. My oldest is growing like a weed, and I feel like I need to get him new clothes every 3 months. But I usually do it every 6 months right now, season to season about.
Okay. Are you paying for anything for the boys outside of the scope of what you would have done when you and Mr. Dryer were living together?
No,
Okay. I want to talk about a little bit about your employment. Do you have any reason to believe Mr. Dryer would have provided you money to get recertified in anything?
no,
Okay. And is that just based on what?
just off of our prior communication and his lack of wanting to help out.
Okay. And Ms. Wolfram she discussed with you essentially the fact that you hadn't provided Mr. Dryer the opportunity to contribute to any recertification because you didn't say that you were interested in that. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have concerns with providing Mr. Dryer more information than necessary at any given time?
Yes.
Okay. And what are those concerns?
Jacob likes to use information against me. He has surveilled me for the last year. And so giving him extra knowledge about my life makes me very uneasy at times. I don't want him to sabotage anything, to be completely honest.
I don't have any other questions. Thank you.
Ms. Wolfram.
I guess last little bit. This concept of being cut off from finances, in August of 2025, you still had access to the joint account. Is that correct?
No.
You did not have access to.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I had access to the joint account, but no longer the money.
Right. When you say no longer the money, what was the balance that was left for your discretion in August of 2025?
$5,000.
Right. So he did provide $5,000 for your free use without restriction as far as you know.
Correct. It wasn't half, but it was only 5,000.
All right. So $5,000 that you could use as you saw fit.
Correct.
Then you guys continued essentially to share finances for a little bit, and Mr. Dryer paid for all expenses, at least through, well, you've already testified he paid for expenses, and then beginning in potentially January, but at this point we'll say February, he began also giving you $2,000 a month for child support, correct?
That's correct. The $5,000 ran out by January, and that time I was rationing it as well as I could.
All right, so you used the $5,000 you had access to funds, $5,000 of them, all the way through December of 2025, correct?
Correct.
And then you began also receiving influxes of $2,000 for child support sometime January to February, is that correct?
Correct.
So when you are saying cut off, what finances have you been cut off from?
All of our money that was in our bank account. I have no visibility into anything that we have to our name. If somebody asks me how much money is in your account, how much money do you have? I would say I have no idea. I think that's considered cut off.
And when you say your account, do you mean the joint account, which you know how much is in there?
In my joint account? Right now, there's $6 in my account right now. But as far as our marital account, I have no idea.
All right.
I know from March, I think it was March when I was cut off from the Monarch account and I saw 30,000 and that was the last number I saw.
Okay. And so you mean, and you understand that the money that you are seeing in those programs is also going to support the household bills, correct?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I have no further questions.
Ms. Schultz?
No, thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Before, I don't know if it's okay for everybody. I think is it possible to do maybe a comfort break where?
Yes, I was just going to take note of the fact that it's 11:40, and I think, are we going to have any other witnesses on the property issues or spousal support issues?
No, I think, well, not just my client. So yeah, no additional, no third-party witnesses.
All right, Ms. Schultz.
Correct.
Okay, Then let's, do we want to break for lunch or do we want to take just a short break? I will do whatever you want.
Maybe it's a good time to break for lunch and then, yeah, hopefully finish.
You agree, Ms. Schultz?
That's fine.
Okay. So why don't we reconvene at 1?
Okay.
Okay,
Does that work?
that sounds good.
Okay.
All right.
It will be back. Okay, thank you.
Ms. Dreyer, can you identify what this exhibit is?
Yes.
And what is it?
Road rash.
And is June 21, 2025 the accurate date as you recall these photos to be taken?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened? We're looking at a series of what appear to be bruises and road rash. What occurred in this incident that led to you taking these photos?
The first part of those pictures is one instance until the shoulder. That's from one instance. And then the second set of pictures are from August during the domestic violence situation charge. So to keep going a little more, that's the last one. This one starting here is from an August situation.
Okay, August 2025.
That was August 1st.
Okay, what happened?
That was when Jacob and I were trying to get our kids to sleep. He was getting heightened. He was getting emotional. It had been after he had been drinking that day. He went over to our then, I think DAD was only 15 months old. So our 15-month-old at that time, and picked him up while he was arguing with me and yelling at me. I asked him to give me my son. He refused. I reminded him that during these episodes, he is supposed to not be around the children and leave the environment. He refused to do so. When I reached for my baby, he pushed me back. We began a physical altercation, which ultimately led to him choking me. And then the cops were eventually called. And again, I was the one who got arrested and went to jail that night.
Were you ever charged with anything or convicted of anything, I guess, following this incident?
No.
Okay.
I'm going to object to the compound question because I know that answer doesn't.
Yeah.
So objection to the compound question.
Yeah, I'll rephrase. Were you ever charged with anything, Ms. Dreyer?
Oh, charged? Yes.
Okay. And what were you charged with?
Domestic violence?
Were you ever convicted of domestic violence?
No.
Okay. What happened to those charges?
They were dropped.
Okay.
Was
I'm
the
going.
one.
Sorry, what was that?
Jacob was the one who actually dropped them.
Okay. I'm going to show you Exhibit 21 now. And can you tell us what these photos are?
That was from a night back in 2023 where we had a very bad fight. Both of our children were sleeping during this. You can see my oldest son's door is right across the hallway right there. During this fight, Jacob was enraged, came upstairs, closed the door, and then plowed through it using his body. And then screamed, "Woo, that felt good." And then he went outside and proceeded to go in the garage and destroy more property.
Exhibit 22, can you identify this?
Yes.
And what is this?
This is, I believe this was the day when I told him again that we were not going to reconcile. He was supposed to get the boys, I believe, this day. And he was starting to go erratic, as you can see the numerous calls and videos while I have our children. So I was telling him if he's not able to be present for them mentally, I can keep them. And he ultimately told me to keep them because he was not well. And then within an hour later, he decided he actually wanted them and was trying to reach me again to get a hold of me for the kids.
Okay. And this was in January of this year?
Yes.
Okay. Is that erratic behavior that you were just talking about, is that an ongoing occurrence? How often does that happen?
He's very unpredictable. It happens on the fly. Like I said, it's unpredictable.
Okay. Do you have ongoing concerns of Mr. Dreyer's violence?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have ongoing concerns for Mr. Dreyer's mental health state?
Yes.
And do you believe that it has affected the children in the past?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that there is a strong likelihood it would affect them in the future?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have any restrictions on your ability to exercise parenting time?
No.
Okay. And As far as legal custody goes, regarding the right to make major decisions for the children, what are you asking the court? How are you asking the court to allocate that between you and Mr. Dreyer?
I was hoping that we would be able to split it up, but in this situation, I'm not able to have any co-parenting conversations with him. So that makes me very concerned about how the future would look with big situations and big decisions if he's not able to help me with birth certificates and getting them to get our child enrolled in kindergarten. What other situations are there going to be pushback on? So in this situation, it makes me feel most comfortable to be the one that makes those decisions legally for our children.
Okay. In fact, have you been able to successfully jointly make any major decisions for the children since the two of you have been separated?
No.
Did you primarily make major decisions for the children during the marriage?
Yes.
Okay. And do you believe it would negatively impact the kids if there were to be an order of joint legal custody?
Yes.
Okay. Regarding physical custody, are you asking for sole physical custody as well?
That situation depends on where he plans on staying. If Jacob doesn't plan on staying in Byron Center, I don't understand how he could have custody because that's where we're going to stay. That's where our children belong. So if he's not in the city, I don't understand how custody would work with that. But if he's in Byron Center, then I would say every other weekend right now until he can demonstrate that he's a responsible parent who's able to show up and for basic parental needs before he's awarded more custody, as well as mental health checks too.
Okay. And we'll talk about some, conditions on parenting time, but why do you believe that him having every other weekend with the children is in their best interest, but him having time during the week is not?
Like I said, the kids need stability right now, and every day the school year is very routine. You go to bed, you wake up, same time, same place. Kids they're going to have different activities during the week. I know when they are. I take them to and from. It's something that I've already been doing. I can focus on Jacob. Again, I don't know what his work schedule is going to look like. So if he were to have them during the week and he's working, who's going to be the one who takes care of them and does that stuff?
And are you asking the court to impose any conditions on parenting time? You just mentioned mental health checks. Can you explain what you mean by that?
Yeah, I don't know how this works. I don't know what can be ordered, but I think that there needs to be checkups that he's being signed off by personnel that they think that he's in a good state of mind, because what I have been experiencing over the last year is not what a sound state of mind person is. He's been very aggressive and very difficult to communicate with. So I'd like somebody to maybe be able to monitor it in some way where I can ensure that he's being on medication or that he's seeing a doctor and getting his checkups and that they believe that he's on track and doing whatever needs to be done.
Are you asking for any orders regarding substance abuse during parenting time?
No.
And is there anything else that the court could order to make parenting time safe and consistent as possible between Mr. Dreyer and the children?
I think there should be a limit on the range of where my kids can go. I don't think it's fair for them every other weekend to be traveling to Wixom 4+ hours in a car when it's only 48 hours. I don't think that that's fair. So I think that there should be a distance where you can take the children on your parenting time unless it's approved beforehand. And I also think that should he have custody, that we are responding to our messages about the children in a timely manner, because there's been several situations where I've messaged him and I don't get a response sometimes for over a day. So I think there also needs to be something about you need to communicate with each other in X amount of time before a decision is made.
Is there a specific time frame that you're proposing?
I would think within a 2-hour time frame is fair, given an emergency situation too.
Let's talk about child support. We've talked about Mr. Dreyer's income. I'm just going to ask you directly at this point, do you believe that Mr. Dreyer has foregone his employment to avoid paying more in child support?
Yes.
Okay. And why do you believe that?
The control that he's exercised over the last year regarding our finances. He mentioned previously that he didn't want me to have access to funds on my credit card. So to me, this is again just a way of me not having access to funds.
Okay. Based on, I'm gonna exhibit 24. I don't believe there's any children's names on this. Let me just double check. Nope, we're good. You and I were able to run a child support calculation, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And is this based on you having $0 of income at the current time?
Yes.
Okay. And the figure in there for Mr. Dryer is $228,000 and $620,000. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. And is that the average of the incomes we discussed earlier from 2023 and 2024, just based on the fact that we don't know what his 2025 income has been?
Yes.
Okay. And the 52 overnights, is that based on your request for the court to order him have parenting time every other weekend from Friday to Sunday?
Yes.
Okay. And is either parent currently paying any childcare expenses?
No.
Okay. And based on that, are you asking that the court order child support pursuant to the Michigan child support formula?
Yes.
Okay. And is that amount, from your understanding, $3,812 a month?
Yes.
Is there anything else you feel is beneficial for the court to understand in entering orders that are in your children's best interests?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. And then real quick, I think we've now agreed, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is there now an agreement that Mr. Dryer has paid $2,039 per month from January 2026 through July 2026, correct?
Correct.
Okay. You're asking the court to order him pay child support retroactive to the date of filing in August of 2025, less credit for what was paid?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you. I have no other questions for Ms. Dryer.
Ms. Wolfram?
Is there any possibility, I was thinking maybe a 15 to 20 minute, first of all, we need another comfort break as far as needing to stand up and get circulation. But secondly, if I could have a couple of minutes, I might be able to make the second half more efficient. If I could get my exhibits kind of lined up for rebuttal, if that works.
Yes, and we need them labeled with letters.
Sure.
So, okay. Good afternoon. We're back on the record. The matter of Dryer versus Dryer, case number 2507026 DM. We're resuming the trial that we began this morning after our lunch recess. And it's my understanding that Ms. Wolfram's going to call the defendant at this point to testify regarding the property issues. Is that correct?
It is correct.
Great. Mr. Dryer, would you raise your right hand, please? Would you state your name for the record and spell it?
Jacob Robert Dryer, JACOB ROBORT
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Wolfram.
All right. Okay, Jacob, you've heard Carly's son with regards to the Monarch program. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And what can you tell the court more, kind of explain more fully what that program is?
Sure. Monarch is a budgeting app that I initially paid for, but what it does is syncs through third-party authentication all of the accounts and balances and is updated in almost real time. Usually there's about a 24-hour delay. So it gives you a full financial picture of all of the assets, debts, and net worth to, best budget your finances.
Okay. You heard Carly's testimony that she thought most of the accounts were displayed except the HELOC. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. And why wasn't the HELOC displayed?
HELOC was not displayed because the Monarch, the program itself, could not integrate through third-party authentication into the program itself.
Okay. So it would be accurate that she couldn't see that, but that wasn't because you purposely did not grant her access to that.
Correct.
Okay. How could one get access? So between the two of you, how could you get access or see the expenses or things from the HELOC account?
Yeah, so the HELOC account and the mortgage balance are currently accessible through the joint account, which the plaintiff has access to, and she can see balances, minimum payments due, and then the overall picture of what we would owe on the home.
Okay. I want to cover one more question. When you were talking about the authentication, she said that there were times that she could not have access. She thought that was back in March. Sorry, just for the record, you have to say yes and no.
Oh, yes.
And then as for When she thought that perhaps she couldn't see things after March, do you have a potential explanation for that?
Yes, I do. So every 90 days, the third-party authentication needs to be renewed between all of the accounts and the account holders. She lost access actually in January, and I was able to get her access back to that account the next day once she informed me that she had lost access. So if she lost access around March, that would be right around the 90-day period. And I've not heard anything from the plaintiff that she has lost access to those accounts. And I had no idea that she could no longer see the financial picture.
Okay. And then moving back to the account, so we were talking about that separately. So with regards to the HELOC, she can see that through the joint account. Is that right?
That's correct.
All right. And what kind of information is available to her there?
Total amount, the total balance on the HELOC, minimum amount payment due, next payment periods, and then any withdrawals that would come, or any payments that would be that came from my personal checking account.
Okay. Payments made to.
Payments made to the HELOC.
Okay. And then her testimony is that she did not agree with the expenses that were from the HELOC. Can you explain?
Yeah, so back in December, I approached Mrs. Dreyer about potentially finding a way to ease some relief from the Chase credit card. The interest payments alone, once the credit card was run up to around the $36,000 mark, were around $1,200 per month. And I asked her, and she agreed that I would pull out an additional $16,500 from the account and put it toward the credit card.
And then, so did you do that?
I did not.
Did you pull the money?
I did pull the money.
All right. And then did you make the payment towards the credit card?
I did not.
And why not?
During once I realized that reconciliation was not going to be a possibility, essentially I did not want to free up spending so she could freely spend money and run up the card. She ran up the card $10,000 over limit. So it would have been, I believe, a $3,000 or $5,000 payment to even get that account current.
Okay. So in other words, if we're talking about a period where I think you would agree it's accurate, at least as far as her testimony, that you guys were not in agreement of how to allocate those funds.
Correct.
But as far as where that money went from and came to, you withdrew it in order to apply it to the account, but you did not because of these reasons. Is that fair?
That's correct.
All right. So as it stands with the HELOC, where is that money now?
So some of that money has been spent because of our paying for 2 households. So that has dwindled down. And I've been just trying to make ends meet, paying off, normal bills, mortgage, my own personal rent, which increased in March after my lease expired.
Okay.
So my bills increased. And at that point, we gave notice to the plaintiff that we gave a 30-day notice to the plaintiff that those payments were no longer going to be made on that card.
Right, because they weren't feasible under the budget.
They weren't feasible under the budget, correct?
Okay, so moving back to sort of the bigger picture finances that were available under Monarch. So you've heard Carly's testimony, and then just to affirm from your side, in the relevant period of time that we're talking about, so from August of 2025, you made mortgage payments. Is that accurate?
That is correct.
All right. And what was the mortgage payment?
It was $1,960 or $1,950 per month,
All
I
right.
believe.
And did you make that every month?
Every single month.
All right. Ever late?
No.
Ever sort of hold it over her head that you weren't going to pay the mortgage?
No.
All right. With regards to the HELOC payment, has that been made every month?
Yes.
All right. How about the utilities for the house?
Every month.
All right. And this was consistent. Carly's testimony also has been that you changed the bills over to your name at some point. Is that right?
That's correct.
And after doing that, did you make all the payments?
I did, correct.
And when you moved the payments over to your name, do you have any knowledge of any other obligations for the marital estate or the maintenance that remained Carly's obligation?
Can you ask that in a different way? Okay.
So did you take over everything that you believed, or did you leave anything specifically for her, I think, other than the phone bill, which has been testified to? Was
Sorry.
there anything after you moved the utilities, after you moved all the payments over to your name?
Sure, yes.
Was there anything else that Carly would have been obligated to pay each month other than her phone bill?
No,
Okay, so you maintained all living expenses.
correct.
All right, and now let's talk about the child support payments. Is it your understanding that you made a payment in January?
Yes,
And what day did you make that payment?
January 1st.
All right, and how much was that?
$2,039.
Okay, and then
Or sorry, $2,200.
right. And why was it more than the 2,039 that you began making payments in February?
Because we did a recalculation based on healthcare, because in the year of 2025, I had free premium through my employment, but starting the year of 2026, I began having to pay a premium of $377 per month.
All right, so then in February, recalculated new child support amount was agreed upon 2039.
Correct.
Okay. There was a question regarding the reimbursement of your vehicle. So it's currently Carly's testimony that she didn't really receive free support because you would sort of give her the child support money, but then take your own car payment out of it. Is that right?
That is correct for her testimony.
All right. And then do you have an explanation for that?
Yes, so in January, I was attempting to change where the payment location came from to my personal account. It must have been an error for the month of January where I did not submit that $935 back into the joint account. There was another charge in February of $935 before it was fully rectified, that money was actually put back into the account.
All right.
And that was the last pay period or that was the last time that a auto loan payment was taken from that account.
Okay, so if there is, there could potentially, that one payment in January would be accurate.
Yes,
But then as of February, if there were withdrawals of your truck payment, those were reimbursed.
correct.
All right. And so the total outstanding that she might have been sort of wrongfully deducted would just be that $900 and change in January.
Correct.
Okay. Also, the car payments, who made all the car payments?
I did.
So consistent with Carly's testimony.
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yep. And any other obligations that I didn't cover that you made payments towards?
Her half of the insurance for their car or for her car, gas. I mean, just the normal things to cover the living expenses, the household living expenses.
Okay, let's talk about with regards specifically to the children. Did she ever request that you make any payments? Did she ever request that you make any additional or cover any additional expenses for the children? Let's go from January to present.
She did she did request payments for some child activities, such as golf camp and this new soccer league, and then I believe for football as well.
All right. How about for food for the kids to feed them?
No.
How about for needing to take them for, I don't know, some other kind of glasses or to the dentist or anything like that?
No.
As far as you know, did your children want for anything on either of your parenting times from January to present?
No.
All right. How about with regards to, and I guess just to confirm her testimony, you were not made aware of any program or any recertification needs that she might have had that would have allowed her to get employment. Is that correct?
That is correct.
All right. So when she says you didn't tell her, she's correct.
Correct.
All right. As for the medical bills that are outstanding, did you make payments towards U of M West medical bills in the past?
I have, yes.
All right. Were you aware of outstanding balances for the exhibits 27 and 28?
She did give me bills for her own personal medical expenses, yes.
All right. And were you made aware that those, when those charges were incurred? In other words, were they prior to the separation? Do you have any idea?
I actually don't know that.
Okay, perfect. Let's talk about your employment. So she gave a brief rundown. Do you want to confirm what is your employment history? I believe she started in September of 2019. But as far as hers, so let's go with yours as well.
Okay, so December of 2019, I was employed at Johnson & Johnson in their electrophysiology division. I was given an opportunity to move to a sales role. So I left Johnson & Johnson and went to Acutus Medical to take a step up in my career.
All right. And then from acute medical, where did you go from there?
Yeah, so I think it was Thanksgiving of 2023. Acutus Medical closed commercial operations in the US. I was given 3 months to look for work, and I was able to find a job only missing 1 day of employment at that time. And that job was Vector Medical, which I believe I started January 8th of 2024.
All right. And let's talk about your employment with Vector. What was your role there?
I started out as a territory account manager. Within 6 months, I was promoted to regional sales director. And I've been a regional sales director for almost 2 years, or actually just under 2 years now.
All right. And kind of specifically with regards to the travel commitment, because that's what we've sort of decided is relevant. What did you understand to be your travel commitment at, I guess, from the time you began?
Yeah, from the time I began at Vector Medical, it was up to 100% travel. So there were days where I had to be, out earning, Sunday through the rest of the week or Monday through the rest of the week. Then there was also weeks where I didn't travel at all. It would kind of go in waves, and sometimes I think there was an entire 5-week period where I did not have any travel.
Okay.
But that position allowed me to actually work from home during the week on the days that I did not travel.
Okay. So at some point, did the travel demands change?
Yes, they
And
did.
when was that?
August 1st of 2025, when the plaintiff was arrested, I had to go to my work and tell them that I could no longer travel until we could figure out what my family situation would be. So they gave me an exemption for a month and a half of no travel so I could take care of my children while she was working through her legal issues.
And then when did that exemption expire?
The exemption expired, I want to say January of this year. I was made aware that they would like me to have increased travel, and they wanted me in the field at least 3 days per week, which is why I agreed to a 60-40 split at the time.
You're referring to your parenting time schedule?
Yeah, my parenting time schedule. So I agreed to a 60-40 split to accommodate my work. And then at the end of Q1 of 2025, they again expressed that they would like me to increase my travel again. However, this time it was outside of the scope of my custody agreement.
Okay. And so kind of regardless of the parenting time schedule, with the demands of the travel for your job, sort of even if you could, if plaintiff would agree to accommodate your parenting schedule, did you feel that you could appropriately care for your kids with that amount of travel?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, you could maintain both.
I could maintain both on days that I was allowed to work from home.
Okay.
I was able to take the kids to school, pick them up from school, get them to their activities.
Okay. But sort of aside from the parenting time aspect of it, we're talking about, at some point, you and your employer obviously came to a disagreement about what level of travel could be maintained. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
All right. So explain why that was sort of incompatible.
So on July 15th, after the quarter ended, it became clear when they put me on a performance improvement plan that was outside of the scope of my custody agreement, that they wanted me back in the field full time. They wanted me back traveling 5 days a week. And I tried to work with them since really January of 2026. However, we could not come to an agreement on remaining at Vector Medical long term.
Right. In other words, were you placed in a position of choosing between basically full-time travel or taking care of the children?
It was either full-time travel or I would have to give up, or sorry, I would either have to give up custody during the week and do full-time travel, or I could have my custody time in being my children's lives.
All right. And what did you choose?
I chose to be in my children's lives.
All right. With Regards to the actual type of employment, so like, are you able to get this exact same job that you were doing for Vector with a different company?
It's going to be a very difficult challenge. At my level, there are only 4 companies that have roles at my same level in West Michigan. I could potentially find something outside of West Michigan, but that would require the ability to move my children and move their school. So it's a very limited scope. It's a very highly specialized field.
All right, and let's kind of pivot a little bit. So you can either do the same job outside of West Michigan, or you could do a different job in West Michigan, perhaps.
Perhaps I would have, I have, I've been on 6 job interviews since in the last 2 weeks. One is outside of the scope of Grand Rapids. The other one is inside of the scope of Grand Rapids. However, it is outside of my field of specialty and will be a very challenging jump to go from my area of medicine into a different area of medicine. So it would not be extremely likely that I would be able to land that job.
All right. So you don't know of any, is it fair to say, I guess, that you don't know of any sort of lateral moves? You can't sort of apply to your 3 competitors or something?
No, the people, the companies that have the same level of position, the people who have been in those roles have been in there for 15 to 20 years already. So there's the jobs just don't come freely.
Sure. Okay. So now that we're talking about your level of employment and such, you've heard that the plaintiff's testimony with regards to she feels like she was cut off from finances. Would you agree with that?
I would not.
All right. And what kind of, I guess, what is your explanation for why she feels cut off, or like, can you offer your counterpoint on that?
Sure. So I consider maintaining household expenses, maintaining mortgage, maintaining car payment, maintaining insurance as spousal support. And then on top of that, I put myself on child support January 1st. So she was receiving close to $6,000 in support per month. And with a take-home pay monthly of $12,000, that is almost exactly half of my take-home, not including what I needed to provide for what I needed to do to provide for my children also.
All right. So in other words, if we take your word for it that she received 50%, what came out of your 50%?
Oh, I spent money on clothes for my children. I did almost every haircut until this past week. You know, I bought them, what I said I bought them clothes. I paid for their medical bills when I took them.
Also for your household expenses,
My
correct?
household, my rent, my electricity, and then food for my children.
So you didn't just bank $6,000 a month either,
No, no.
right? Okay.
I was operating a loss of around $2,000 per month.
Okay. I don't know if we said this, so let's go back and say this. As far as the credit card, right? She's calling it a joint credit card. We're talking about Chase Freedom credit card ending in 7451. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
All right. So you understand that's what they're referring to as a joint credit card. Do you refer to that as a joint credit card?
I do not.
All right. With regards to the expenses placed on that account, do you agree with her testimony that she opened that as a joint account and you used it for joint expenses prior to, say, August of 2025?
No.
Okay. And why? What do you believe that is the nature of that credit card?
The nature of that credit card was essentially for household expenses, food, and things for for our family. She took it out in her own name and added me as an authorized signatory for her own credit purposes. But outside of that, outside of the scope of just the normal expenses for the children, there were numerous other expenses like completely redoing my master bedroom, buying decorations, throwing parties. That there were, the list goes on.
All right. So in other words, there was some testimony regarding one, I think, fence repair. Were you aware of that?
I was not.
Other than the fence repair, have you been made aware of necessities? In other words, were you given any opportunity to provide funds for necessities for either the children or the property before she was sort of required to put it on the credit card?
No.
All right. For very succinct example, as far as the fence, right? She didn't say like, I need money for this fence, otherwise I'm going to put it on the credit card.
I didn't know it was broken until today.
Okay. So with regards to the outstanding balance, you did not, I think we've agreed to this just for the record, you did not make any purchases on that card after August of 2025.
Correct.
And is that like, why are we certain of that?
My last charge was to Oakland County on August 13th was the last transaction from my use of that credit card. And I started using my American Express card after that in an attempt to separate the spending.
Okay. And as far as that goes, you were no longer authorized on that card. Is that right?
I was authorized on that card until March.
Okay. And then with regards to the payments to that joint or that like they're referring to as a joint credit card, but the Freedom account ending in 7451, who made the payments on that account?
I did.
And what was the amount of those payments?
Since August, I've made $26,000 or 26,320 and 95 cents towards that credit card.
So if the balance, and we kind of stipulate and agree that the balance is close to 40,000, you've made $25,000 in payments already.
Correct.
All right. Anything else that the court needs to understand about your finances?
So for a long period of time, even before the separation in August, there was a major overspending issue. We would spend more each month than I brought home, and then we would have to use my bonuses to make large payments on these credit cards to stay afloat. That practice has essentially had to continue during the divorce process because I'm paying for two households, and frankly, it's, $14,000 a month in expenses is not feasible when I only bring home 12.
Okay. So in other words, the overspending, the maintenance of the status quo sort of allowed for the overspending to continue. Is that about?
Correct.
Okay. I think that covers my basis for the property. So no further questions.
Schultz.
Thank you. Mr. Dreyer, I want to talk about the HELOC first. So it's your testimony that and correct me if I'm wrong, but the HELOC was not integrated into the Monarch system. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And the HELOC is through Lake Michigan Credit Union?
That is correct.
Okay. You have at least 4 or 5 bank accounts, including the children's bank accounts that are also through LMCU.
That is correct.
Okay. And those are all visible in Monarch?
That is correct.
Okay. And so the HELOC is the only one that through the same bank cannot be integrated into Monarch.
The HELOC and the mortgage balance.
Okay. So the mortgage,
Yeah.
sorry, repeat that.
Because they are different loans than just attaching bank accounts.
Okay. Can you, I think I'm missing something. So I think you were talking about a review period for 90 days. Somehow walk me through the process of Ms. Dreyer's access to Monarch being cut off.
So every 90 days, the way the program works is it uses third-party authentication to connect to your other bank accounts and financial institutions. And every 90 days, those time out. So every 90 days, you have to go back in and reconnect all of the accounts. I had no knowledge that Mrs. Dreyer lost access around March, but in January, when she did tell me that she lost access, I gave it to her next day.
Okay. So she was cut off in March after you had, go ahead.
I said, apparently, yes.
Okay. But the accounts that you were supposed to reconnect, I guess what I'm not understanding is how were you not cut off, but Ms. Dreyer was cut off?
Because, wait, say that again?
So if you didn't lose access to Monarch back in March, why did Ms. Dreyer if essentially the same accounts were being integrated?
So her access and the financial institutions, they do time out. They do time out after 90 days, but I am the account holder in Monarch under my email address. So I would not lose access.
Okay. Who recertified, I guess, and forgive me if I'm using the wrong terms, but I think you know where I'm kind of going here is who recertified these accounts during the marriage for the use of Monarch?
I did.
Okay. And during the marriage, Ms. Dreyer was the one handling the finances primarily, correct?
Primarily, yes.
Okay. So during the marriage, you made sure that Ms. Dreyer and you always had access to Monarch whenever you had to recertify.
We did not start using Monarch until after August. Actually, I'm sorry, it was 2 months before August happened is when I first opened the Monarch account.
Okay, and you made sure she was on it at that point.
Correct. And I sat down, walked her through it, walked her through her access. I've actually done that multiple times throughout August to January of this past year.
Okay, and you didn't think it was important at any time in the past few months to make sure she still had access to know where the family's funds essentially were going?
I didn't know she didn't have access.
Okay, but you didn't check.
No,
Okay. As far as the initial balance of the HELOC, so in August 2025, you transferred $18,980.30 from the HELOC to your personal account.
that's incorrect.
Okay. Okay, then what was that initial transfer for? Because there's a transfer of that 18,980 in August 2025. What is that for?
There shouldn't, the transfer should not have happened. It was 16,500. That transfer happened in November, or no, it was December of 2025. The original HELOC was taken out where we spent $19,000 on the construction of our deck and patio in our backyard.
Okay. So, okay.
So
The last
you
four,
got it wrong. The total balance of the current as it currently sits today is 34,000.
right. Okay. So I'm gonna pull up our Exhibit 3 because I'm trying to understand when these account transfers from the HELOC were made. Okay. This is the joint or what was previously the joint bank account, correct?
But yeah, it looks like it.
Okay. There's a transfer of $18,980.30 into that account on August 12th, 2025. What is that for? That's from the HELOC, is it not? What's it? I'm trying to understand what this transfer is from.
I am too. Balance was around 19,000.
Okay. So it's your testimony, I guess, today that you guys had spent that 18 some $1,000 on whatever it was during the marriage, and that was an agreed upon amount. That's what you're saying.
Correct.
Okay. And then in December, you took $16,500 and transferred it into your personal account.
Correct, because I was attempting to make a payment on the Chase credit card because the interest payments alone were $1,200 per month, and it was not feasible to continue with that.
Okay, but you didn't make that payment, right?
That's correct. I left it in my bank account, which is why
Okay.
it reflects a $30,000 balance, but that money is in that bank account.
Okay, but I don't have an accounting of where that money went, right? It's been in your general bank, your personal bank account. So essentially, it's been being dipped into over the past, what, 8 months now?
No, it didn't start getting dipped into until 2 months ago.
Okay.
The
So
balance
for
has remained over $16,500 until 2 months ago when the kind of rubber hit the road and the losses every month caught up. This is why we filed a motion to have the house put up for sale because it was not a feasible long-term solution.
Okay. We'll get back into kind of what happened there in the last couple months as you said, when the rubber kind of hit the road. But you said something in your testimony, you said essentially I didn't want to free up spending. So that's why you took that HELOC money. In other words, you wanted to make sure you had full access to funds and that Ms. Dreyer had to get funds through you.
No, I took the money out to make a payment on the credit card. However, to be frank, she snuck another guy into my house with my children home.
Mr. Dreyer,
And
I'm not asking about any of that right now. Right now, I'm trying to understand. Follow me here. You took $16,500 from the HELOC and put it into your personal account in December of 2025, right?
correct,
Okay. And you didn't pay off the credit card so she could continue using it, right?
correct,
So she had zero access to funds from the HELOC at this point, correct?
correct.
And she had zero access to credit limit the credit limit was exceeded on the joint credit card, right?
Yeah, she spent a lot of money.
Okay. At some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, it was probably around December 2025, the children also had their own bank accounts, what was under originally the joint accounts, and you transferred that money all out and put it into your own accounts that you created for the kids.
Correct. I went to the bank and I had them do a direct mirror of our established accounts into a new account. Yes.
Okay. And are those accounts still intact?
Yes, they are.
Why, and I guess at what point did you deem it appropriate to stop making payments on the joint credit card?
When the expenses per month totaled over $15,000, $16,000, that is when I deemed it not, I didn't have the funds to keep doing it.
Were you making the minimum payment at all at that point or no?
I made the minimum payment from December through March.
Okay. And you haven't made any payment from March forward.
It's not in my name.
Okay. That's not the question. You haven't made any payment on that joint credit card since March to
No.
today.
Nope, and we gave 30 days notice.
Mr. Dreyer, what account had you deposited your paychecks into over the past year while the divorce is pending?
My personal MCU account.
Okay. And pull that up. What's been stipulated to, it's our Exhibit 4. Is this your personal account?
Yes,
Okay. And the date here is May 2026, correct?
correct, yes.
Okay. At the end of May of this year, you had $30,136.23 in those accounts combined.
Minus the 16.5 from the HELOC, yes.
Okay. Let's walk through your checking account. On May
Okay.
1st, you have a payroll deposit of $15,295.17.
Correct,
Okay. On May 8th, you have a payroll deposit of $5,906.84.
correct,
Okay. You have another deposit from payroll on May 15th of $2,068.32.
yes, that was mileage reimbursement for my truck.
Okay. May 22nd, you have $5,906.85 of payroll deposits.
That is my normal paycheck take home.
Okay. Is there any other account in which funds would have been deposited into in May from your employer?
Nope,
Okay.
and you guys have received all my pay stubs.
I'm gonna pull up our Exhibit 5. This is the joint account, correct?
That's correct,
Okay, and that's also May 2026.
correct,
Okay. On May 2nd, there is a deposit of $2,039. Would that have been the child support?
correct,
Okay. So in May alone, you have deposits into your joint account of over $30,000.
that's correct.
Okay. So what? We're in August. In 3 months, $30,000 has quite literally vanished from the account, is what you're saying today.
No, every dollar has been accounted for in spending, so you can go through that and look.
Okay. How much is your mortgage payment?
It is $19.50 a month or $19.60 a
Okay.
month,
How much are you paying in rent?
$2,200 a month or $2,300 a month.
Okay. So that's like $5,000. Where's the rest of it gone?
I paid my attorney.
Okay.
I paid for a private investigator to prove she was violating temporary orders. That was $6,500, I think. So that's 11,000 right there. And then normal household bills and expenses cover the rest.
Okay. So you heard Ms. Dreyer testify that she is getting food assistance, right?
Yep.
And you're spending $6,500 on private investigators and all this other stuff.
Yeah, she was violating temporary orders.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about your, I guess, other access to funds you have. So your grandparents recently passed away. I'm sorry to hear that.
Mhm.
Did you have an inheritance that you received from them?
No, all funds went to my parents and my aunts and uncles.
Okay. Do you anticipate receiving anything from that estate?
No.
Okay.
Well,
You heard,
they lived in a $200,000 condo, so I don't know where this notion that they're wealthy came from.
do you have any idea where the PNC letter that Ms. Dreyer received in the mail would have come from?
The PNC Bank.
Correct. Do you know what that is for?
It was a credit card application.
You know that for a fact?
Yeah, I opened it.
Okay.
Well, I didn't open the credit card, I opened the letter.
Okay. Why would PNC have sent something to you titled, I guess, in yours and your mother's name?
Because when I was 16 years old, my mother opened a PNC account for me and co-signed for a credit card to help build my credit. I have not had a PNC account since I was 19 years old, and that was not even fully in my name. That account was actually in my mother's name.
So you don't have any, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
You don't have any PNC bank accounts today?
No,
Okay, and no PNC credit cards open today?
no.
Okay. Regarding your employment and travel, so I'm trying to understand the timeline a little better. So you had a conversation initially when with your employer regarding these concerns that they had?
The conversations first started back in January of 2020, or actually late December of 2025, where they expressed their concern around me having childcare while I worked from home. I spoke to Mrs. Dreyer about this and told her, and I was still attempting to reconcile at this point, but there was no effort on her part to help in any sort of way. So I ended up having to put my child in daycare to accommodate accommodate that during the day. And then at the end of the first quarter, in my performance review, they expressed that I need to be traveling a little bit more. And that is when we took steps to reduce time from 50/50 to 60/40 parenting time to allow me to travel. And then at the end of Q2 is when I got put on a performance review or a performance improvement plan that was outside the scope of the 60/40.
Okay. So essentially, I mean, the letter that I received from Ms. Wolfram indicates that there is essentially a drop dead date on this performance improvement plan to probably reevaluate or review where things are at in mid-August, right?
The review was on the midpoint review was on July 31st, which ended up being the day I was terminated.
Okay. And what happened on that day to get to the point where we're not even making it to that final review mid-August?
I could not travel with my custody agreement, so they decided to terminate me.
Mr. Dreyer,
Aside
you understand Ms. Dreyer is willing to have the children more often? In fact, she's been requesting that.
yes, but I want time with my kids during the week also. I want
But
to
you've
be,
always
I'm
say that
not, gonna
again.
shoot- I'm not, I want to be in their lives and I'm not going to let a job dictate how much time I get to see my children. And I will not be a weekend father.
You've traveled since the children were born.
That's not true.
Okay. Walk me through your employment history again.
So when I worked for Johnson & Johnson, there was no travel required for that position. So for 4.5 years, I did not travel. It was not until the sales opportunity came about where that did require travel that Mrs. Dreyer and I had a conversation about going back to traveling to explore this opportunity. And we both mutually agreed that it was a good opportunity for our family. So
Let me stop you there. When was that?
wish I had my resume in front of me. I started working for Johnson & Johnson right around the time we got married. So it'd been 2019, 2020,
That you
2019?
started working for Vector?
No, Johnson & Johnson.
Okay.
One
When
with
did
no
you start
travel.
working for Vector?
That would be January 8th, 2024.
Okay. And you took that job knowing that that job would be significant travel.
I took that job because I was entering a period where I did not have any further choice. I was no longer going to receive a paycheck. And this job fell into my lap, so I had to take it to provide for my family.
Okay. And it's been a good job, has it not?
Great job. I
Okay.
loved this job. But in the end of the day, they wanted me to choose between being a full-time travel employee or having, time with my kids during the week.
Mr. Dreyer, where were your clients located?
Cleveland, Columbus, Chicago, Minneapolis, Indianapolis, Detroit. That was the recent territory. Before that, it was half the US.
Okay. And the performance improvement plan indicated that you were to have 3 to 4 face-to-face contacts with clients each week.
Correct.
Okay. So that would have still left, what, 3 or 4 days potentially that you're home every week.
No, that would leave one day.
If you're, well, during the week,
Yeah.
right. But you've got the weekend plus 1 or 2 more days during the week on days you're only traveling 3 days of the week.
So you're saying that, are you trying to argue that I should have like 10% custody of my children?
Mr. Dreyer, I'm not trying to argue anything. What I'm trying to understand is at what point did you think it was a better idea to have the children have literally zero financial stability as opposed to being gone another day a week. That's what I'm trying to understand here. You've always traveled.
I have not always traveled, but I have for the last 2 jobs, yes.
Okay. And then a couple days before trial, you decided that more time with the kids is better than having income.
I decided that way before, as soon as I was put on the PIP, because I was trying to work with my company to come to a solution, and they refused to bend at all.
Okay. Those are the only questions I have for Mr. Dryer. Thank you.
Ms. Wolfram, redirect.
Sure. Okay, let's cover some of the cross-exam questions. So with regards to, let's dig a little bit deeper into the December transfer. Without going into, because we really are separating categories, okay? So without going into detail of the parenting time situation that happened between December and January, just between the parties, did you believe that you needed an agreement from Carly to withdraw from the HELOC and apply that to the credit card?
Correct.
Right. In other words, you believed you were moving towards an agreement on your finances to take money from one place and put it in a different place, but that would need an agreement to do so. Would that be fair?
That's correct.
All right. And then in the midst of that process, you became aware that Carly did not agree.
She actually first agreed the entire time. She brought it up to her multiple times. And now I'm hearing that she never agreed to it.
All right. But with regards specifically to that December withdrawal of the $16,000, did you believe you were attempting to get a written agreement as to what would happen with those funds to move forward financially?
No, I didn't think to put it in writing. We were trying to reconcile at that point. Actually, we both agreed to pause the divorce proceedings, but we actually never made it to actually officially getting to that pause.
All right. So in other words, at the point of that $16,000 process of moving that money, you had to stop because you didn't have an agreement.
Correct.
All right. Now, with regards to your comment in your testimony that you did not want to free up spending. Okay, let's break that down. Because making that $16,000 payment would have had what effect on the joint credit card?
That would have freed up available credit for her to run it past the credit limit again.
Okay. And so you did not say that you didn't want to free up spending because you did not want to provide for her or to allow her to support herself. Give more context to explain that more, free up spending. What do you really mean?
So more on like the monthly budget. I didn't have the funds to keep paying $1,200 per month in just interest alone payments. I've spent, like I said, $26,000 of bonus money support on that card from the period of August through December, or actually through March. And sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, so the idea was like that payment would have been essentially a Band-Aid to the credit card, right?
Correct. That money would have just accrued interest with additional spending.
Right. So without the agreement to make that payment, or even if you had, let's say you went ahead and made the payment against Carly's wishes, that would have had the effect of allowing more overspending power on that account. Would that be accurate?
That's correct.
Okay. And then at that same time, so December to January, so December, you decide not to make that payment in order to, quote, not free up spending. But then what happens beginning January with regards to funds you give Carly to spend?
I put myself on child support January 1st to make sure she had funds for the children when I realized we were no longer able to reconcile.
All right. In other words, let's just break that down again. When you say put yourself on child support, again, we were never able to achieve a formal settlement agreement.
Correct.
So with regards to finances, I think it's accurate to say the parties did not agree.
Yeah, the requests have been unreasonable from the beginning.
And so beginning in January, you made the decision to make voluntary child support payments.
That's correct.
And that would be your alternative to having made that giant payment on the credit card and allow that spending. Would that be fair?
That is fair. That's
Okay.
correct.
All right. And then just to, I guess, to cover some of the income that we went over in just May. Now, that was just 1 month of the account, right?
Mhm.
You got to say yes or no.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yes.
Yep,
Yes.
sorry. So as for that particular month, there was some additional spending, but during that month, you already testified that 50% of your income already went to support Carly's household. Is that right?
That's correct, since August.
So even though she went through all of those deposits, that money came out of your 50%.
Correct.
All right. Were any of Carly's expenses not paid so that you could make payments towards, say, your attorney or the private investigator you used?
No,
She was still completely supported that month as far as all monthly obligations.
correct.
All right. And then I guess just to, again, double check as far as that balance, that $16,000 transfer from December did not begin to be used towards living expenses until June. So in other words, you had said that your balance remained over 16,000 until at least June.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So that money didn't ultimately go to support those living expenses until June, but now it has.
Correct.
All right. Let's focus again on the travel. So the question then is, let's talk a little bit more about, like, explain some of the conversations that you had with your employer with regards to travel. Did you think that there was a path forward where you could ultimately continue to have travel in the same manner that you've had from August of 2025 and maintain your employment?
Yeah, that was the agreement that I worked out with my vice president. And then at the end of the quarter, we had, I believe it was June 31st, we had our first pre-trial, I guess, trial discussion. I had approved PTO for that time. And my boss called me on Friday night and asked me to be in Columbus on Monday to get a purchase order that would have bolstered the company's the finances for their Series B. I told him that I have no way of canceling court. I had approved PTO and I needed to be there for my trial. So I told him that he needs to go if he wants somebody there. If not, I will get the purchase order remotely. And he ended up having to cancel one of his vacation days on the 31st to go there. And then 15 days later, I was put on a PIP.
Okay. So when they're trying to sort of characterize that you chose to have no income over your parenting, it's a little more complicated than that.
It's a lot more complicated than that.
Okay. So you have been sort of not traveling, but I guess, do you think that you've been achieving appropriately for your position without traveling this since August of 2025?
In in the first quarter of the year, I finished at 96% to my quota. And at the end of Q2, at the end of June, I was actually the only sales rep that achieved over 100% to plan for my quota.
So what does that say about your performance?
It means my performance was not indicative of my termination.
Okay. You know, we don't have the opportunity at this point. We haven't called other people from your employer, but if we were to have that information, would they have more information about your termination that we can call them to testify about?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
Okay.
really don't know.
Sure. But in other words, would you expect that they would have sort of either a difference of opinion or, you know, have a different story than yours as far as your termination if we called people from your company?
No, that is the story of what exactly happened.
Okay. I guess let's say it this way. Do you expect that, or did you feel like there was another opportunity? In other words, could you have, just hypothetically, temporarily given up parenting time and saved your job?
Potentially I could have, but I chose not to.
Okay. And do you know how long that temporary arrangement could have lasted?
Well, I was put on the PIP on July 15th. So that was when it lasted till.
Okay. So in other words, the amount of choice you had was limited by this performance improvement plan.
Correct.
Right. You did not.
Yeah, I asked for 60 days because they originally gave me 30. I was denied that request. And when I was denied that request, I realized that this is not an actual performance improvement plan for me to improve in my role. It was actually just a way to terminate me legally,
Okay. So you did, go ahead.
kind of legally, because what they did, I believe, violates employment practices, but that's
Outside our scope.
outside our scope.
Okay. Do you, and what have you done to, I guess, restore financial support for your family? How is your attempts? Let's detail that a little bit more. You said you've gone on 6 interviews.
5 so far, 1 more tomorrow. I had an interview this morning at 7:30 before trial. Mainly speaking to 2 companies right now, Medtronic and Intuitive Surgical. Some of those roles one of the roles is in the Ann Arbor area. So I'm not really sure whether or not that is going to be an option to even get to a position where I can get a job offer, because then I would have to petition the court to allow me to move the kid's school.
Okay, so kind of bigger picture though, do you anticipate, now you can't, no one can see the future, but do you anticipate that you will remain unemployed long-term?
No,
All right, and even if you can't reach a level that you had reached before, you anticipate you'll be able to find something to do to support the family?
correct. Yes.
Let's say it outright. Did you intentionally, or did you feel like you had any opportunity to avoid getting this termination and maintaining how you want to have a relationship with your children?
No,
Right. And did you intentionally get fired in order to punish or control the finances relative to this case?
no.
All right. No further questions.
Schultz.
Thank you. Mr. Dryer, I want to go back to the transfer we were talking about previously of that over $18,000 that was transferred in December. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Okay. And that actually, it wasn't from the HELOC. That amount was actually transferred from what was previously the joint account into your account, correct?
In December? That would have been in August.
Or sorry, August of 2025.
Correct.
Okay. And that's after you and Ms. Dryer separated?
Correct.
Okay, so there was almost $19,000 sitting in the joint account. You moved it to your account. That's what that transfer is.
There was actually more. I left $5,000 in the joint account for her.
Okay, so you left her 5,000, you transferred 19 to you.
Yeah, because there's a $14,000 monthly budget.
Okay. Regarding the performance improvement plan, so other than travel, the travel expectations, what part were you not complying with such that you felt your job was in jeopardy already?
They listed a slew of reasons. One was forecasting. I was ordered to go into one of my accounts and get a $300,000 order. So it was the largest order in company history. And I negotiated that order with the account. But when we had court, I had to send somebody else. And when they got to the account, I actually sent my boss. He actually only walked away with $200,000. So they said that I had inaccurate forecasting. That was part of my performance review as well, or my performance improvement plan was that I had to increase the accuracy of forecasting, despite both my CEO and vice president being the one to come to the $300,000 total.
Okay. So you're saying that there were issues outside of the travel that ultimately would have led to your termination regardless.
Yeah, I said no to my CEO and appeared in court instead on my
Okay. Okay. But you would agree with me that this performance improvement plan also includes a series of things that you could essentially do to maintain your job, and you just told them, no, I'm not going to travel.
I didn't say no, I'm not going to travel. I said no, I'm not going to travel more than 3 days a week.
Okay. Do you understand that? Is it your testimony today that you have employment opportunities potentially in a different area, hours away?
Correct.
Okay. And you understand that the decision you've made with Vector could now completely move you out of this area, even being further from the kids.
Yes, but I won't take a position unless I get approval from the court to move them.
Okay. I have no other questions.
Ms. Wolfram?
If there's anything more to really clarify, I guess one last thing with regards to your travel, how does that work? So if you have clients in Indiana, Ohio, and as far away as Detroit, like how many days in order to meet your improvement plan, the goals in your improvement plan, how many days per week would you have had to sort of, maybe the best way to put it is to give up parenting time? Like how much contact would you have with your children if you traveled according to what would have fulfilled the qualifications of the plan?
That would if to fulfill the obligations to the plan, I would potentially only see my kids 4 days a month.
A month.
So 4 days a month because she wanted weekends still. So what, I get every other weekend, 2 days?
Okay, so you would have been traveling Monday through Friday in order to meet that plan.
Correct.
And even if, I suppose, say the plaintiff was willing to give you her weekend time, that would still only leave you 8 days a month?
Correct.
All right. And would there be any time when you travel, are you able to be home for dinner?
No.
Are you able to drop them off at school?
No.
Can you do anything during the week, Monday through Friday, if you traveled according to the plan?
No.
All All right. So there was really no arrangement that could be compatible with both working according to what they were requesting and meet really any minimal level of maintenance of parenting time.
That is correct.
All right. And then, but that is from their perspective. Would that be accurate?
Correct.
In other words, you thought you could do your job without meeting that level of travel.
I did do my job without meeting that level of travel, but as my CEO explained to me, performance is measured on different things other than just hitting your revenue goals, which I disagree with, but that was his purview when agreeing to put me on the PIP.
So his assessment.
It was his assessment, yes.
All right. I think that's it.
Ms. Schultz, any follow-up?
No, thank you.
All right, thank you. Any further witnesses on the issue of property and spousal support in financial terms?
I probably no, but I guess I would just make a renewed motion to at least reserve some aspect of, because this new issue with regards to his employment and most recent termination is so premature. I've not been able to provide evidence that I might have otherwise been able to provide or call to support my client's position, because this literally happened on Friday. So to the extent, I guess I would just renew the motion that even with the testimony that has come to light, there could be additional things that would support or clarify the position with regards to Vector's, I guess, side of this story. And so I would ask the court to take notice of that.
Schultz?
I would just ask that the court deny any request for reserving those issues. I mean, we're here for trial today. Mr. Dryers indicated on multiple occasions today that he kind of saw the writing on the wall at some point, and now he's claiming that, 3 days before trial, he's lost his job, and as a result of that, Ms. Dryers should, and frankly, the children should financially suffer because of it. So I would just renew the statement that I made earlier and ask that the court deny that.
All right, well, I am going to deny the request. This is trial, and the court has to have some finality in this situation, and so the court will make a decision based on the proofs that are presented today. All right, so I guess we'll move on to the custody and parenting time issues. Schultz?
Thank you. I would call Carly Dreyer again.
Okay, Ms. Dreyer, you're still under oath.
Yes, ma'am.
Schultz?
Okay, thank you. Ms. Dreyer, and I just want to remind you, we are live recording or live streaming this, so just try to use the boys' initials when you can. Prior to the separation, what was your primary role in the household with the children?
I have been the stay-at-home mother and their primary caretaker since my oldest was born in 2019.
Okay. And what does that include?
It includes scheduling their daily activities, taking them to and from doctor's appointments, extracurricular activities, school, preparing meals, grocery shopping, making sure they're fed, making sure they're bathed, making sure they have clothes on their backs, making sure they're emotionally taken care of as well, loved on, nurtured, et cetera, et cetera.
What was Mr. Dryer's role prior to separation?
He was the primary provider for our family.
As far as, I guess, one-on-one with the boys, what did his relationship with them look like before you guys separated?
Jacob didn't really take the boys places. If he spent one-on-one time with them, it was either in the house or outside of the house. The one-on-one times that he would spend with them would be usually technology related, with screen times, either iPads or video games, or something with Pokemon cards related. But very, very rarely would he take them outside of the house and go do an activity with them.
Okay. We've talked pretty extensively about Mr. Dryer's travel for his employment when we're talking about property division, but I want to talk about it in regards to the children. Mr. Dryer has always traveled, has he?
That is correct. So even when he's saying he didn't, his position with Johnson & Johnson was in Muskegon. So even though he wasn't staying overnight, he was still gone from 6 a.m. until sometimes 8 p.m. at night. So still wasn't around to see the kids or be a part of their lives.
Okay. And was that every day during the week?
Yes.
Okay. If he left at 6 a.m., were the kids awake at that point?
Sometimes not. Rarely, I mean, not a lot of the time, but.
Okay. Were they typically in bed before he got home, or what were they doing when he arrived home on most days?
If we were lucky, he would make it in time for dinner or at the tail end of dinner and maybe be there for bedtime and nighttime routines. But majority of the time it was after they were in bed.
Had you and Mr. Dreyer ever discussed his travel schedule when he worked with Johnson and Johnson at all? Like whether it was working for the family, was it not working? What did that look like?
I expressed my concerns about the travel after we had our first child in 2019. We moved out here in 2017, and the travel for those 2 years got to me more once we had our first baby. And when I would express that, his response was usually that that's what his job was, that's what he had to do, and he can't get another job that's going to be providing as much money as what he's doing. And hopefully it won't be for forever. That was always our thing, was hopefully there will be an end in sight with the traveling.
But in fact, that wasn't the case because he was then employed by Vector, right?
He was then employed by Acutus,
Okay.
which was travel again, about 100% travel. And then after that was Vector.
Okay. What did his travel look like when he was with Acutus?
Again, he'd be gone on Sunday evenings, sometimes not home until Fridays. And when he did come home on Fridays, it was always in the evening. It was never in the day, in the morning. It was always late at night. So he technically was a weekend dad for majority of my kids' lives.
Okay. And did that carry into when he became employed by Vector?
Yes.
Okay. And when he was with Vector during the marriage, had you asked him to find something that was more sustainable as far as not being gone so much?
Yes.
Okay. And what was his response?
Same as before, that he has to provide for our family and that job is a good job that makes a lot of money. So he's not going to be able to find another job that has less travel, making that kind of money. So it was kind of like choosing, do we want to have a good income and have him be gone more, or have a less income and have him be home more? And even though I was reluctant, we ended up having him stay traveling because we had kids and bills to pay.
Okay. And so from your perspective, was there an agreement that it was better for him to be traveling and earning a good income for the upbringing of the children as opposed to being home more?
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about post-separation. So you and Mr. Dreyer separated in August of 2025. What did parenting time look like from then on?
In August 2025, I was actually not able to see my kids for about 9 days. Jacob didn't allow me to see them no matter how many times I tried or my mother tried. That's when we ended up going to court to have an emergency custody order in place. And that's when it used to be a certain way and now it's changed. So a year ago, it was I had them on Mondays and then they went with him on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. And then they would come back to me on a Thursday for that weekend. Or wait, am I doing this wrong? I might be messing up on the custody. Let me just go with what's currently in order. So currently I have them Monday nights and then he gets them Tuesday, Wednesday nights. I get them Thursday and then every other. It used to be he had them Wednesday, Thursday. Excuse me. That's what it is. And that's what's been in place ever since, is every other weekend and he gets them 2 nights a week.
Okay. And from your perspective, how has that schedule been going for the children?
For the children, it was very rough at first, majority because they're not used to spending their weekday time and school time and their weekday time with their father. Usually it's me taking them to the appointments, me getting them ready for school, me getting them fed and everything like that. So that was a little bit of an adjustment for my kids. And then I also anticipated him coming to me often to cut his parenting time shorter because of work. And that's what happened a lot over the last year. I had to pick them up early or switch a day or take a weekend because of work, which is very similar to how things were in our marriage. But I did end up helping out on his end with a lot of custody situations.
Okay. Are you opposed to having the kids more often?
No.
Okay. And in fact, is that what you've been asking the court to order, is that the kids are with you more often so there's not so much back and forth?
Yes, and I also worry about the mental stability of my children. I often have them come home from their visits with their father, and they're repeating things about our divorce situation that I think is very inappropriate. They should not be around those kind of conversations. I think they should be protected from a lot of this. Jacob has used bad language about me to my children in front of me, so I can't even imagine what he's saying behind my back. And so it's not just the physical, but it's also the mental for them. I fear of what their environment is when they're around him. And Jacob also has not demonstrated that he can have them alone. Every exchange during the week, his father, Jeff, is present and stays with the boys. And then every time he has them on the weekends, he drives 2+ hours to Wixom to his parents' house and spends the 48 hours that he has with his kids there and then comes back. He hasn't shown that he can create a stable environment for the kids in his own apartment, that he can have a job, raise them by himself without help from his parents. And I think that the kids have a lot more stability in my household. It's their normal routines. I don't need extra help. I've been doing this for 7 years and I've got it down pat now.
Okay. When you say that his father has been, Mr. Dreyer's father has been participating in parenting time exchanges, from your understanding, is Mr. Dreyer traveling during that time or is he home?
There's been a few occasions where his father has been there for the exchange and Jacob has not been present. I'm not sure if he's traveling or what because their stories haven't matched up between Jeff and Jacob, but I believe he is home with the children with his father present. I don't believe that he's traveling and using him as childcare.
Okay. Who has disciplined the children? Who's primarily been responsible for disciplining the children throughout the marriage and then post separation? Okay. And that same post separation as well?
Well, post separation's a little bit more difficult since I don't have them all the time. So I would probably say the 60-40, 50-50, what that's been, because I only have them that amount of time.
Okay. And you were talking a little bit about it previously, but do you feel like the children have appropriate guidance in both homes?
No.
Okay. And expand on that.
For example, I do not allow YouTube in my household. My kids have gotten on YouTube in front of me before and go to scary videos, horror things that are inappropriate language, inappropriate pictures, things like that. So I have banned that from my household. I have strict rules on my screen time. I don't allow them to just watch TV all day. In Jacob's apartment, I understand that my 6-year-old and 5-year-old have a TV in their bedroom to themselves right now, and that they watch YouTube without any supervision in their room. I would assume that this is probably while he's working or at night before bed and stuff. And then they repeat a lot of things when they come back home. They repeat bad words, they repeat horror villains and things that they've seen, and then they're scared, and then they're saying they don't want to sleep alone, they want to sleep with me because they're scared of these things because they saw it at dad's and it's YouTube. And again, I worry about the mental state of Jacob a lot. So I worry about how he has a little bit of a temper and he has a short fuse, so I know that can rock him sometimes when he has 3 kids needing things. And so I worry about his short fuse at times when he's around the kids all the time.
Okay. Were any of these behaviors, such as the children being scared of things that they were seeing, present before they were split households?
No.
Okay. Do you have any concerns with the way that Mr. Dreyer disciplines the children?
Yes.
Okay. And what are those concerns?
As I just stated, he does have a temper. He does have a short fuse, which means that when he starts getting emotional or uncomfortable, there's not really a ramp up. It doesn't escalate fast. It just hits. So a lot of that looks like just screaming and yelling at the children. It can be ripping things out of their hands. I've seen him grab them and drag them around the house before. Just last night during our exchange, he was upset and screamed at our kids to get out of the car, get in mom's car now, and then ripped the iPad out of my first son's hand and threw it in my car. And that's the goodbye he's giving my kids. And that's what they're left with when they're going from dad's to my house. And I worry about, again, what's going on behind closed doors when I'm seeing it right in front of me.
Okay. Where do you believe that the children seek their love and guidance from?
From myself.
Okay. Do you believe that you and Mr. Dreyer give the children similar age-appropriate attention during your respective parenting time?
No.
Okay. And I know you're currently unemployed, you're looking for employment. Currently, I assume you're widely available to parent the children, correct?
Correct.
Okay. What does this look like when you become employed?
I have my mother who is a resource for childcare. I've also been made aware that if I need daycare, there are assistance programs that you can reach out to help for expenses for childcare as well. So I'm going to look into those options as well.
Okay. Are the kids in school yet?
They are not in school, but I finally got my middle child officially enrolled in kindergarten. So they start on August 26th.
Okay. And are they in any extracurriculars where you're currently living?
Yes.
What things do they do?
Currently, my second child, EJD, is in basketball camp this week, and then he has his kindergarten enrollment tomorrow to go look at the school. And then my oldest son, D, is starting this ACGR Michigan Football Academy soccer program, and that starts August 18th. So, and then again, my second is going to start a gymnastics ninja program for his activity in the fall. So we got a lot of stuff starting up.
Yeah, awesome. What has been, if anything, Mr. Dreyer's involvement with the children's? I understand they haven't been in school, but as far as their extracurriculars go.
This past spring, both of my children were in football and t-ball, and Jacob did not attend a single t-ball game, not even when it was on his weekend. He actually would lie to my kids and say it was canceled or something and not take them to t-ball. And then for flag football, he attended the very last game for them. So he has not been supportive. He has not been present. And when I've asked to sign them up and for funds to sign my kids up for extracurricular activities, he responds no, that he doesn't agree to it.
Okay. Has he agreed to any extracurricular activities for the kids?
No,
Okay. Who makes the children's doctor's appointments?
I do.
Okay. And do you communicate those appointments to Mr. Dreyer?
Yes.
Okay. Does he attend them?
No.
Did he attend them during the marriage?
Once in a blue moon, if he was home from work and not traveling, then yes, he would attend. Well, it wasn't us doing it together. It would rather be me taking the kids and him staying home with the ones that didn't need to attend.
Okay. Has he ever taken the children to appointments on his own?
I think maybe a handful of times, maybe 5 appointments in the matter of 7 years, he's done completely on his own.
Okay. Has he trusted you to make the decisions, medical decisions, anything like that for the children?
Yes.
Okay. And how has health care for the children been managed since you guys separated?
I have paid co-pays when I go to the offices for when they're required for me or for the kids. And other than that, I haven't been able to pay the medical bills. I've just been waiting on those that have been billed to me.
Have you scheduled any appointments and asked Mr. Dreyer to take the children to them since you've been separated?
Yes.
Okay. And has he taken them to those appointments?
No, on one occasion he missed their dentist appointments, and on another occasion he missed a doctor appointment.
Okay. And approximately when were those appointments supposed to occur that he didn't take them to?
I believe they were both in July
Okay. July of this year?
2026. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And did you reach out to him regarding those missed appointments?
Yes.
And what was his response?
His response was that it didn't work with his schedule.
Okay. When you initially scheduled the appointments, did you do so in consideration of his schedule or in conjunction with him?
So these appointments were made a long time ago. They weren't just made like a month in advance. They're, the wellness checkups that happen every 3 to 6 months. Same with the dentist that happen every 6 months. So I attempted to make them on my day. Wednesdays used to be one of my days. And so when those appointments ended up being on a Wednesday, it was Jacob's day because our custody changed. And that's when I told him that he needed to be in charge of it. So I initially meant for him to be on my days, for me to be in charge of it. But because of custody changes, it went on his days and he wasn't able to make it work with his schedule.
Okay. Did you ever come to find out whether he was working during those times and that's why the children missed the appointments?
One of the situations, he told me he was working or had a meeting, but then my children told me that he was having a play date at the pool that afternoon instead. And then another situation, I just was told it just didn't work with his schedule. So I didn't know if that was referring to work or something else.
Have you attempted to make major decisions with the children, such as related to education, childcare, medical, anything like that with Mr. Dryer in the past year?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me about some of those conversations?
In January of this last year, or December 2025, rather, he did come to me saying that his boss was expressing the need for him to travel more. I offered up my time during the week and said I would be more than happy to take the children during the day so that we do not have to pay for childcare. He still took it upon himself to enroll my middle child in childcare and pay for that, even though I was willing to help out. Oh, I'm sorry, that was my third child. He was enrolling my 2-year-old in childcare. And then he called the school of my second child and tried to change his schooling without my permission to make him be in full day schooling instead of half days. I was not privy to this information until I got emails. And so I had to put a stop to both of those because I'm not willing to change my kid's schooling. And then after that, my middle child is going into kindergarten this year. And in order to be enrolled in kindergarten, you need their birth certificates, you need vaccination records, a bunch of documents to turn in. I did not have my children's birth certificates. They were taken after we separated. I asked for them over and over and over, and Jacob would not give them to me, even though I mentioned it was about enrolling our son in kindergarten. His response was, we don't know where we're going to be in this fall, so why would we even enroll them there? Let's just wait to see what happens. My opinion would be to enroll him and try to ensure stability, not to wait it out and uproot them. But yeah, he was not willing to give me the birth certificate, so I had to pay for them at the Kent County office and get them mailed to me.
Okay. And when was that?
This was 2 weeks ago.
Okay. Okay. When you try to communicate things to Mr. Dryer, is there any sort of meaningful conversation back and forth between the two of you?
No, he's very hostile, belittling, condescending, aggressive. Even having simple conversations, I'm met with a lot of disrespect.
Okay. I'm going to pull up Exhibit 18, which I believe there's a stipulation to admit. Let me know when you can see this.
I can see it.
Okay. And how do the two of you communicate?
We have been communicating through our family wizard for the last year.
Okay. And is that what this is?
Yes.
Okay. And on June 17th of this year, it looks like you identify a scheduled dentist appointment for DJ. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Also, not to interrupt, but we're talking about the kids again. So, and especially since they're on the screen, if we want